Yo, and we are live, man. Yo, this is S.E.T comedian. I'm back with another one for you guys, man. Today we got a great lineup. But first, we're gonna go ahead and start out with a 60-minute interview with the soon-to-be ex FBI director, man. Let's see what he got to say about his performance. Let's go. You're right. The Russia collusion with Trump and then Hunter Biden's laptop with Biden. Yeah, this man has been, well, one, it's kind of funny how he promoted Trump's Russian propaganda case, but then he kind of, threw Hunter Biden's laptop case under the bus. Not under the bus, but under a rug.
We asked Ray.
Well, there's been plenty of stories of corporate data being stolen so they can make the product themselves and then try to destroy that corporation on the global market. So let's say you came up with this product, you got the patent and everything. China steals some of your information, steals your company's information or your information, got the patent, makes it and sell it globally for, I ain't gonna lie, 2 times less the cost that you ever could have produced it for. So why isn't China kind of being posted as like the main one, the main enemy? Instead, it's Iran, but it's not China. Like, well, how come we're not on China's ass when honestly, they have the most capability. They have the most capability of hurting us. And I'm gonna be real with you, they're doing it right now. Like, screw being the capability of, they're acting upon it right now.
But we have.
And shout out Big Wave Dave. He said, "Stupid YouTube, my limit is not reset yet." Man, appreciate support anyway, Big Wave Dave. And for the rest of y'all, go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in on the conversation. Or 3 dots up there in the corner. That also works as well. Appreciate the support, guys. You're reading some of the posts that man was reading, because hold on. The man worked for the army. The man was in the army. Not the army, but, well, he works HR for the military, right? He was in the military. So it is kind of weird how you, like, well, what could have radicalized them? What could he have read, seen? Like, what was it that radicalized them? Don't just say, oh, he was on a couple of posters somewhere. Nah, who was it? What did he read? What's going on here? How does a man go from military vet to I'm driving through people? Like, you gotta make that make sense just a little bit better than that. How happened to work in Biden's favor? Like, I don't know, man.
Bada boom, bada bing, Biden did his thing.
Yeah, and then so you tell me that if this case was to never being brought up, and y'all would just I don't know, peacefully ask Trump to be like, hey, yo, can you bring that back? Instead of kicking down his door and all that good stuff. So you pretty much trying to tell me that, oh well, Biden had nothing to do with it. I don't know if I could believe that. I'll be honest with you. It's really a tough sell.
Stop the cap. You expect me to believe that he had no pause on that? Like, the politics.
This is a hard job.
What's raw politics? I don't have to ask him to, like, bro, can you explain raw politics, dog? Because what?
Like, what does that entail? Give me a definition on that. I really want to hear that.
Like, are we talking about the realness? Because I know you ain't talking about in the bed or nothing like that, but I like raw politics.
Hey, yo.
This man said when he pretty much said they actually caught a terrorist who was trying to pretty much do a mass shooting on Jewish people at a Jewish center.
They exposed that?
Yeah, he said he's like, we caught him, and he said by his words he was trying to commit the biggest attack on American soil since 9/11. I was like, damn. I'm like, bro, what, you trying to hit a high score?
What mission? What type of mission is this? It is on a diabolical.
I'm like, oh yeah, lock his ass up,
bro.
Convicted of seditious
firing. You alluded to it earlier. You're telling me Biden had no oversight in this?
Oh God, like what?
He had no oversight. Like, they didn't come to him and be like, sir, like, what do you think on this? And you're telling me he didn't just go like, man, what the fuck you mean? Hell yeah.
I'm like, bro,
like, this leads perfectly into my campaign. Like, this hurts him, helps me.
And then after it didn't work, y'all kept trying.
Come on, guys. You can't. I hate to think everything is a collusion or everything is a conspiracy, but come on, the timing on that is uncanny.
It's so funny. This was like one of the first charges that was dropped, because they were saying, as a president, he has that immunity to have these documents, especially as a past president, especially since we can bring up that. Biden had secret documents at the house, and nobody got on his ass. He was only vice president.
And you can understand why Trump took it personally. Melania Trump was even telling a story of how they rifled through her panty drawer, like went through her son's personal PlayStation and shit. Like, it's personal to them, low key. Like, Biden, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Shout out my man Big Wave Dave. He said everyone forgets Biden was VP and had documents next to his Corvette in the garage, and that's a nice place to have the documents. I mean, for real.
And the point about Trump having these documents, as a former president, he had the classification and the clearance to be in possession of these documents.
I mean, no, I'm kind of stuck on the whole like secret documents. Like reading secret documents in the Corvette is probably the most player thing.
I ain't gonna lie.
Biden do.
You know, he was listening to old schools doing it too.
Man, like,
a real old school classic kind of guy.
Hey, nothing makes you feel more like James Bond reading top secret documents in a Corvette.
Hey, no, reportedly though, Biden is quite the car connoisseur. He has like a crazy old school car collection.
Man, oh wow, so that's what. Hey, look what money laundering gets you. Allegedly.
Nah, facts.
And shout out Big Wave Dave. He said he had no permission to take them in the first place, but nobody ever pulled his coattail. I mean, Bill Clinton had a recording of him and a world leader discussing matters of national security, and nobody got on Bill Clinton's ass.
Tech ODT.
Right. Hopefully you guys like that one. But yeah, like the video, guys. Double tap that screen for us. Let's get the engagement up on this one.
But all right, man. I think we should go over to, let's see, Candace double down? Because she definitely did double down on the
hey, she got a response.
Yep, she got that response. All right, man. Let's go to Candace, man, as she doubles down. Whoop. There we go. Make sure I clean that.
Refreshing myself on these old AP French courses that I used to take in high school. Obviously, I'm going to provide you guys with an update on my little dust up with Mr. and Mr. Macron. Also, there's a lot going on in the social media world. On X, Elon Musk, the owner of X, gets absolutely ratioed by a TikToker, Ian Carroll. I love his content. I've been sharing his content. I'm going to tell you what their little dust up was about. Also to the tune of 200,000 likes. I'm talking a ratio. We also have Mark Zuckerberg, who appeared on Joe Rogan with some COVID Facebook confessions. And to be honest, it's kind of infuriating. And we'll give you an update, of course, on the LA fires and what people are saying. All that coming up on Candace. All right, let's get into this. So I was speaking to my husband over the weekend, and I said to him, legitimately, that I did not believe that in the history of the world, there has ever been a circumstance where a sitting president, okay, I want you to think about this, a sitting president, a world G7 leader, do you recall ever hearing them having sent a legal threat to a podcaster, in this case, a pregnant mommy podcaster, in a country over which they do not preside? And included in that legal threat is a shh, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. I really do just think it's important to pause and consider all of that having taken place. It's a sign of the times, really a sign of the Western times. It's a reason that I feel the West is falling. I mean, two grown men acting like big babies. We could never imagine in a million years Vladimir Putin doing this. Be honest, you could never imagine Vladimir Putin. If I said he's a killer, he's this, he's that, there's no way he's going to go to his advisors and be like, send her a letter, just threaten her and tell her not to tell anybody that we're threatening her in this letter. It's weird. It's what we describe on the show as fake and gay, right? There's something fundamentally weak about it. If you're going to send me a letter and you're like, I'm not this and I'm not that, well, you should realize that even by sending the letter, people recognize that you are an extremely weak and an extremely fragile.
And AKA, this is America. Did you not forget freedom of speech exists over here? It's like, boy, you better take your ass somewhere else with that. You better, disappear, because what? In France, you could pull that, Macron, but in America,
not over here, dog.
Oh, I mean, we can say whatever we want about you for real.
Speech, baby.
Let's go.
Leader. And I have to tell you guys, your comments on Friday's episode really made me chuckle. Top one being this one from Holly House. She wrote, French president, do not publicize this letter. Candace Owens, hold my beer. Followed by the next top comment from Alex. He writes, Macron, do not publish this. Candace, please subscribe and make sure to hit the like button. Yes, of course. I'm American. Who are you? Literally, who are you? No. And the third top comment is really great because it comes from somebody that lives in France, and it is from a user, ADAR YM. They write, I am French. I am so glad that someone is talking about this scam. God protect you, Candace. We need people like you in France. And that kind of was the general feeling. I had tons of people from France emailing me saying, keep going.
I mean, just off that last tweet alone, there's some truth behind that, because what happened to that one reporter in France who was trying to
They locked
cover it?
They sued him. They sued the girl, and I think they locked the male up.
So, I mean, Candace speaking on this, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, no pun intended. It takes some balls.
It really does. And thing is, though, you know, it's crazy. She interviewed the guy who came out with the story that Brigitte Macron's a man,
And he got locked up on the way to the airport or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I'm gonna be real with you. They tried to lock him up. He got the interview out the way, but YouTube took it down.
I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, you can only find it on Rumble.
God damn it.
I know, right? They always get him.
The French powers that be.
I mean,
God damn.
like,
no, God damn.
Thank you so much. Essentially, they're being suppressed, and their opinions, they're fearful to speak them, given what the president has done. And so I want to take this time to let Americans who do not understand the significance of this story, I want to let you guys know why it is so important, because there have been people that have said, why does it matter if his wife is a dude? And there are people who don't fully appreciate what the French have been going through under what I would describe as this regime. It truly is a regime. You hear so much about Vladimir Putin, and we have this right here in the West. Pay attention to what's happening in the UK, what's happening in France. And imagine, if you will, a person, Emmanuel Macron, who was pretty much unknown. Yes, he was in government. I think he was an economic minister, perhaps, who starts his own party called En Marche, maybe. And he condemns the radicalism on the left and the right. This guy's going to be a centrist. He condemns radical socialism, points out the failures of his previous party, and he secures the vote of the people. And they are then presented with his wife, and they are told that this is a strong, faithful Catholic woman. And so you vote according to that. You're a Frenchman, and you vote according to that. And the general assumption of...
I mean, you're telling me, bro, right here, can land something better than this?
This photo kills me every time. Like, this is the most mismatched couple I think I've ever seen.
I mean, like, y'all telling me y'all couldn't have figured this out? Like, come on, bro. She don't even look like she's like,
of course,
meant
that when someone...
That's what I'm saying. It's not even a good lie.
Like, bro, it's like, what woman is put together like this? It looks like she wakes up and just flops her wig on top of her head every day. She don't even bother combing the motherfucker. What am I looking at right here? Like, no. I can't do this.
They're an abomination for in a wig. Like, there's some good wigs out there. This is not one.
I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. There's powerful niggardry at work here.
When it's billing themselves as a centrist, they're not up to anything crazy. Hey, we're the moderates. We're the guys in the middle, right? We see problems with both sides. And look, this woman of faith. And it works. The press is behind them. That individual and his wife get into power. And then you start to see another side of them, a dark side. Journalists start recognizing some holes in their past story, realizing we don't really know who these people are. Like this, they kind of were thrust upon us. Maybe we were just believing the media. And they realize that a lot is not adding up. And one by one, these independent journalists and researchers begin to suffer. First and foremost, this is a true story. And again, all of this will be in our little mini series about Brigitte. There was a woman named Isabella Ferreira, right? I'm showing you a picture of her. She used to be, what do they call them? The jaune gilets, which I think yellow vest in French. 56-year-old woman who was investigating Emmanuel and Brigitte. She was deemed to be one of the earliest to discover that the age gap between them was not being accurately reported by the mainstream media. And then she said she had landed upon something even bigger and started making phone calls to alert others that actually Brigitte, as she was saying, could still be prosecuted for the crime of having slept with a minor or had a relations with somebody who was 15 years old under the new law, okay? 2 weeks later, this Isabella Ferreira is found dead, okay? She was drowned in a dam. The investigators admit that she was still alive when she slipped into the ocean. The media was saying, oh, she took some pills, she was bipolar, she was depressed. That's what happened. Even though she had been making phone calls days earlier asking for people to meet with her regarding this investigation. And in fact, one of her friends,
like, dang,
sounds
that's
like the
crazy.
Danny, what was the guy's name?
Who?
The conspiracy we covered last week on the Netflix. Danny something, Costello or something like that. Like he was on the way to meet with reporters for like a major break. And
yeah, the guy who blew himself up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The guy who got killed from the Netflix documentary.
Daniel. The octopus.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Octopus murders.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, yeah, I get what you're saying.
That shit was crazy.
Posted on Facebook. His name is Luca, and he wrote a very long post, which you can go and find. But this is the most compelling element. He did not buy the accidental suicide story. He wrote, these days, she was focused on the sexual assault of the teacher, Brigitte Trogneau, towards the minor pupil, Emmanuel.
Crazy when you cover this stuff. Somehow you just
bro. But it's always been the MO of I guess the powers that be. They got a wide stretch of hand or wide reach, and they can look at get anybody. It seems like.
But Macron, Macron,
nigga, you gay.
No man.
Like I don't know.
We're gonna be next.
Oh yeah,
Emmanuel Macron. The revelation that she claimed to have and about which she had told me was that the prescription 30 years, he's referring to the statute of limitation, 30 years after the majority, meaning the age in which you can give consent for sexual assaults against minors, allowed Emmanuel Macron to file a complaint against Brigitte. So against that's loosely translated. And he's saying that like she had discovered the statute of limitations was not up. In fact, it is true. It is not up. It will be up at the end of this year, 2025. But then she committed suicide in a very strange way. Most people don't jump and try to drown themselves. I think it's almost impossible. I think I read some.
Shout out Dave. He said, brother, and
it's almost impossible to drown yourself because your brain will just automatically come to the surface. I don't know, whatever. That's what happened. That was how it was reported in the media. Then you had the journalist Natasha Ray, who had just assisted in an investigation. She wasn't even the one who had published the 6-part series, the one that I saw that was published by Xavier Poussard. Natasha Ray has cancer. She has no money. She has been fighting the Macrons for years in court and losing. And it is being claimed that it was essentially a show trial, that they have this much power that they always have, that she was declared guilty for things that she actually and factually never said, and that she is not getting fair treatment in court. A lot of the files are being locked down, so the public is not even really getting a clear view as to what is happening. And you're not going to believe this. Her lawyer, Francois Danglehant, similarly, since he went out on a limb and defended Natasha Ray, the state came down on him. Stole, according to him, took his 3-year-old son, that there is a essential mafia that has been on his back that set up a fake trial against him, trying to throw him in prison, but it didn't work. And he is still with Natasha Ray fighting this, trying to get the story out. And then, of course, the man that is at the nucleus of all of this, the one who broke the story about this transition, Xavier Poussard. Incredibly, the Macrons, as you saw, and as I shared in the letter, are still refusing to sue this journalist for defamation. The initial journalist who published this story
oh boy. Oh man, for those of y'all who know Big Wave Dave, 30 minutes into the chat, and he's saying something like this, we're in for a long night. Shout out Dave though, $5. He says, fair warning to chat tonight. I don't give a about your feelings. Man, all right. You're getting started early, man.
Parts.
Shout out Dave.
He has not been sued by the Macrons, but he too is being harassed. He too has people that work with him that are getting squeezed by the government.
And for those of you who are new here, man, go ahead and like the video, double tap that screen for your boy, or you can hit the 3 buttons in the upper right hand corner, man. We got almost 200 of y'all in here, man. We just kicking off tonight's stream. It's gonna be a fire one. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Turn on post notifications, man. We go live daily. We cover just about everything. S.E.T and Key Media, man. We appreciate the support.
Being told that they will face financial ruin if they continue to fund his efforts. They have even gone out and tried to figure out who is funding his work. They've attempted to bring a claim against Xavier himself, not for the pieces that he wrote about the Macron, but for an article he wrote years ago regarding who controls the French media, alleging that they can bring a claim against him for anti-Semitism. Even though he didn't say they're Jews, he just named people who control or own a large part of the media in France. And they were like, oh, well, these people happen to be Jewish. Can we go after him for anti-Semitism? Now, Emmanuel and Brigitte want to see if they can extend their globalist tentacles to the United States, right? That is what they're really high on. They're high on their own globalist supply. We can show me the man. I'll show you the crime. We'll go after any person who tries to tell this story. And they are now eyeing me with an extremely carefully worded letter where they don't go so far as to deny that Brigitte is trans, where they don't go so far as to explicitly state that Brigitte Macron was born a biological woman, which would have been so easy to do over these last 8 years. But they're kind of wheeling and dealing and trying to find defamation in other ways, like accusing Macron of lying about his sexuality. It's one of the things they listed. What? Yeah, accusing him of lying about his sexuality. Did I do that? Did I say that he explicitly lied about his sexuality? What are you even talking about? Why? How are you alleging that this hurts him and his reputation in front of the French? They hate him. Okay, accusing Brigitte of lying to the French.
So they can't really outwardly deny that he's not a transsexual. So they're going about it in a very roundabout way by catching her up on minor trivial wording, her verbiage, right? Like this is almost petty, really.
French people about her sexuality. Again, what is this? And I will say that they definitely picked the right mom. They definitely picked the right mother. We actually are hitting send on this letter in a couple of hours. So you guys will be the first to even see an exclusive peek of it. And I'm going to upload it in its entirety to the our locals website. That is candace.locals.com, or is it locals.candace.com? You guys show me again. This is where you guys go to support our show and to keep us independent. And if you go to locals.com and you find us, you will see candace.locals.com. We're going to put all this up. We want the public to see this. You know, we are no longer doing things in the dark. Okay. We are in the era of light, and everything that happens, I'm going to expose to the public because I have the platform to do that. And they have a right to know. They have the right to see how you people operate and how you try to intimidate. You are not thug life to me. I get that you're running stuff in France. That's not how I feel. Okay. And I don't care about what you're doing in France or care about what you're doing in Paris. I just care about people understanding the truth and understanding that there is a dark network of individuals that have been supporting your campaign. And that part is plainly obvious. That part is plainly obvious. That is not something that can be denied on the basis of the things that people have been accused of in your network, people that have funded you, Emmanuel Macron. Okay. So here is a little sneak peek of our legal.
That does beg the question how powerful Macron and his, no pun intended, cronies are. If they think that they could stretch their arm of power all the way over here to America and shut Candace up.
Yeah.
I mean, land of the free, home of the brave, free speech, and they think they can stretch their French arm over here and put it over her mouth.
I mean, yes, it is a bit wild.
Bro, like how strong do they, how powerful do they think they are?
I mean, like, really?
It's like she said, like, who do you think you are, low-key?
You're not even one of the big dog countries for real.
Like, what you think I'm about to do? Like, not talk about this? Like the meme said, like and subscribe for more, for part 2.
Legal letter that we are sending back to him. And I'm just reading you a couple of lines here. Again, it will be up on the website. While you cleverly try to distinguish between calling someone gay or transgendered and calling the Macrons liars and criminals who are defrauding the French people and the international community, the implication is clear. You and your clients believe that being labeled as gay or transgendered is defamatory.
And like Macron, bro, like Macron.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Like, nah, for real. And shout out Big Wave Dave. I had to get that for you.
And they must prove as much to maintain their claims. However, they would contravene the beliefs of President Macron's most ardent progressive liberal supporters. Yet your denial that being labeled as gay or transgendered is defamatory is belied by the statements and the posts that you are citing as defamatory. Nearly all of the statements and posts simply refer to Brigitte Macron as a man who transitioned. And so we list some of these examples of these strange posts that they cited, satanic, whatever, saying that you can't call this satanic, whatever. And we basically say, so either your clients believe these examples are libelous, or you merely want Candace to remove them to protect your clients' images. None of these show that your clients were damaged. Therefore, it seems your true agenda is to intimidate a journalist and prevent her from reporting discoveries about the Macrons. But you chose the wrong journalist. Candace is not intimidated. No, I am not intimidated. In fact, I would describe myself as positively elated about this opportunity, Mr. and Mr. Macron. Okay. I want you to come to Tennessee so bad. Bring this lawsuit as you would have to the great state of Tennessee. Bring it to the volunteer state. You know, we still have the good old boys here. And don't even waste your money getting a courier to file. I'll file it for you. I'll be.
Make sure you guys like the video, man. We got over 100 y'all in here, man. Go ahead and double tap that screen or hit the 3 dots up there in the corner, guys. Appreciate the support.
Your courier. Okay. I'll run down to the courthouse and file the lawsuit for you if you promise me that you two will show up hand in hand. Okay, that you will come down to a state where we still have the good old boys, and you'll explain to them, Brigitte, that you think 15-year-olds can be sexy, that you're attracted to 15-year-old boys. Bring that mindset, your Parisian elitist mindset here. Explain to them how 15-year-olds can be hot and sexy and how maybe you as an older man want to marry them. I'd love to see that. I'd pay big money to see you have a rude awakening about what the rest of the world thinks about what it is that you two have been up to. It's gross. It is disgusting. There is no way to slice it when you make a confession as you have. And by the way, as I said, we have proof that he was 14 when he was in that play. Okay. The play that you watched him perform and were just thought he was so profound and beautiful, because what sane person at the age of 39 and 40, the ripe age of 39 and 40, looks at a 14-year-old boy and finds that to be appealing and then thinks that they have enough money and connections to get the press to sell it as something sexy, as Josephine and Napoleon? Get the heck out of my face. Truly, get out of our faces. Like I said, try that around here. Try that around here. Come, get on a plane, do it, sell it. Oh, that was beautiful. Beautiful, the story of the Beauty and the Beast. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to fly here. Okay. We have good values. We have good morals. We don't care about your top designers. Okay. They don't care about Paris. We do have a Paris, Tennessee here, but it's not what you're used to. And I am telling you, I will give anything. I might even cover your legal expenses if you agree to show up in Tennessee with your mindset. Okay. And meet me in court. And guess what? Your little line about, we don't have to answer whether or not Brigitte is a woman. No, you literally will have to answer that if you have the, excuse me, balls to file this lawsuit in the state of Tennessee.
And I mean, and watching Candace pretty much, I don't know, quadruple down at this point really affirms to me the fact that where there's smoke, there's fire on this one. Like, for her to be risking her whole career, her image, her credibility, all on this one case.
She's a man.
It really low key, it lends to the credibility of the case being true.
I'm gonna be real with you. Like, let's be real. When she said I hinged my career on Brigitte being a man, I was like, you know what? I'm convinced.
At this point,
and the fact that she's only doubling down, Candace at this point is like, bro, prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong.
I'm willing to lose everything.
Yeah. Come on, defamation case. Come on, bring it to America. Bring the defamation case and prove me wrong.
This in court.
That's how defamation case works. You got to pull up, prove to that person that they're putting slander on your name, and prove them wrong.
We invite it. My supporters invite it. I invite it. I love a good fight. And I am telling you, this world, this sick, grotesque world that you are a part of, where you could just pay enough money to hide this sort of pervasive illness, because that is what I view it as. Okay. 40-year-olds don't look at 14, 15-year-old boys and find them cute and appealing and want to be in relationships with them. I am disgusted by your relationship. You make me sick, Brigitte. Seriously. And with all that I know now, having sat down with Xavier Poussard, I sense that a lot of people worldwide are going to be physically sickened by the fact that the entire press circle in France has been guarding a lot of secrets about you. And yes, I truly now, even more so than when I first reported the story, believe that you were born a man. So we can have that conversation in court, or you can simply respond to our legal emails, but know that all of it will be published on our locals website. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, guys, reminding you about preborn, because January is considered the sanctity of life month. who gave us X, Elon Musk, gets completely ratioed. I mean, to the tune of 142,000 likes. Ian Carroll's gets like 230,000 likes. And what's really compelling about this particular ratio, aside from just the top,
Well, if you're gonna stand on the hill of the H1B debate, you're gonna get cooked.
And you got to be ready to be cooked too.
To be honest with you, is like when people act like that's the only one, like this so important, it's a disingenuous argument, and it kind of shows. Well, you really want cheap labor, and you want some people you can overwork and disrespect.
I'll be honest, for somebody who had a lot of fans and had a lot of haters for that matter as well, Elon kind of stuck his neck out on that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, bro, he should have just pulled back and said the visa program is great. All parts of it's not great, but there's a couple parts in there, like, you know, the O1 or the expounding one visa. That's the only one we need to keep, but, you know.
The GOAT one, as we called it.
The GOAT. You better have accolades. I need achievements on top of achievements, awards on top of awards. Rings. Before you come over here and take a job for one of our Americans.
That's how it's got to be.
Topic is that Ian Carroll truly is just a person who started making videos on TikTok, investigating various things, and he built a network for himself. He just crossed 1 million followers on X, I guess, in a large part due to the fact that he ratioed X's founder, which is Elon Musk. So it's pretty amazing. So I'll tell you what happened. So Elon Musk, weird arc on the topic of Israel, meaning he was criticizing Israel, and it seemed like he got some magic phone call in the background. The next thing we knew, he had to visit Auschwitz. He had to show up in Israel, do a photo op with Bibi Netanyahu. It was just strange. All of it was very strange. And now he kind of once in a while tweets what most would consider, Ian Carroll would consider to be Israeli propaganda. And so he tweets this video. I'm going to just show you a brief clip of it because it's not relative to what Ian responded with, which was the ratio. Here's the video that Elon Musk tweeted.
What set of actions result in the greater good in Israel? I mean, obviously, you cannot have people who, you know, if they want to slaughter everyone in Israel, you got to stop that. There's no way. Those people either need to be killed or incarcerated, or they will simply try to kill more Israelis. This is what it amounts to, obviously. And they want to kill Americans too, by the way.
But if we don't understand what create these terrorists, then they're always going to be there.
And that's what I forget the man's name, the Islamic speaker yesterday we covered on stream alluded to. Like, if y'all don't address the root of the issue, then you guys are going to have a serious problem on your hands.
Like, bro, it's always
going to be eerie how he spoke on that a few years ago and what's happening now.
Like, if we don't give something to Palestine, I'm gonna be real with you, there's always gonna be a Hamas.
Bro, we're always gonna have an enemy over there.
Unless, like I said, but unless y'all want to let Israel just,
have their complete way.
I mean, shoot, let's just say, unless you want to let Israel wipe out all the Palestinians, like they're kind of getting away with now. Like, then allegedly, then you don't got to worry about Hamas. But if you're a rational human being, if you have ethics and morals, you would see that, well, we don't want them all gone, but then we also don't want Hamas to be there. So we got to capitulate on something.
There's got to be something there, some negotiable ground.
But if we don't give a fuck, then I'm just be real with you. Please stop pretending like you give a fuck. Stop acting like you give a fuck.
The movements,
and just say what it is.
The fake movements and all that shit. The woke left fake movements. Those can end right now.
Yeah, please just stop it. Stop it.
You make a great point with that one. That shit is damn near disingenuous. Then
it's like, boy, just say that you want them all gone.
Generally, like Israel is referred to as the little Satan in America. We are the big Satan. That's what the Ayatollah calls us.
Okay, so you get the idea. He's basically doing there's a Hamas behind every single child rhetoric. And if we don't all get involved and send our money overseas to a foreign country, then they're coming for us next. Okay, we've heard it all 1,000 times before. So Ian Carroll,
take that same statement and change the race. Like behind every black kid is a thug. Like, god damn. Like, behind every white kid is a school shooter. Like, whoa. Behind every Asian kid is a math specialist. Like, hold on a second.
Tweets this back regarding the video. He writes, "For being so smart, you're exceptionally bad at understanding this one issue. Kind of weird." And his tone when he does his videos is always incredibly sarcastic. And he's basically saying what everyone thinks, which is what happened. You really have changed your perspective very quickly. And you kind of are seeming to have to post these sorts of things. Like, blink if you need help, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk responds to him And I think he was kind of
Am I missing?
giving him a layup here because he writes, what am I missing? And again, if you weigh this against Elon Musk's old tweets, I just don't think, I feels like he's intentionally missing something. And this is how Ian Carroll responds, which currently,
bro, he been getting cooked across the board on this debate. He been getting cooked across the board on his stances on Israel. It's kind of just like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you're a smart man, but these two topics, I'm not going to, let's just say, you shouldn't be so hard line on one side.
He really stuck his neck out on this one, is what I say.
Yeah.
Like, it really, I mean, that's why he's getting roasted.
Yeah, he should have played the middle ground.
Getting roasted.
Bro sat on the side and said, I would defend H-1B visas, man. Fuck faces. Like, oh.
And then he got the nerve. I mean, and I'm not a hater of Elon, but he got the nerve to ask, am I missing something? Like, yeah, Elon. Like, you clearly are.
Like, when did you decide to, like, walk that back? When did you decide to take that perspective? Because, the whole time you just preaching all this stuff and everybody's looking at you like,
retard alert.
Right.
currently has literally 255,000 likes, something like 33,000 retweets. We'll get to that. He writes this to Elon Musk and just takes over to takes over X for 2 weeks. You're missing the lead up here. That AIPAC purchased the seats of about 90% or more of our current Congress. JFK famously wanted them registered as a foreign agent right before he was shot, and thus they changed their name and never registered. Why are we letting a foreign lobby buy off our Congress? You're missing that Israel was obviously the state sponsor of Jeffrey Epstein, whose handler was Ehud Barak, ex-head of Israeli military intelligence. His funding was Les Wexner, one of the world's richest Zionist philanthropists, quote unquote, and he was accused by ex-Mossad agents of being Mossad, not to mention the Maxwell connection. They had blackmail on
Lex Wexler, owner of Bath and Body Works.
Owner of Bath and Body Works, a major funder and donor of Ohio State and the Children's Hospital as well.
Man, I mean, hey, you know one smart thing he did? When he got caught up in all this Epstein stuff, he separated it from Bath and Body Works, but then he bought the manufacturing to Bath and Body Works. I was weak.
Clinton and many, many more. He who holds the blackmail holds the leash. Just ask J. Edgar Hoover. You're missing that Israel's the only nation who has a de facto sanctioned, yet actually secret and unsanctioned nuclear program, a program that they stole from the United States. Look into the Apollo affair, NUMEC, the Dimona nuclear facility. You're missing that Jews, Muslims, and Christians lived side by side in peace in Palestine before the Rothschilds purchased the country from Britain during World War I, to the Balfour Declaration, and began their colonial program. You're missing that the groups that founded Israel, Lehi, Irgun, and Haganah, were declared terrorist organizations by Israel itself because their tactics were so deplorable, bombing British and Palestinian civilians. Yet these three paramilitary groups rebranded to form the IDF, and their leadership became a leadership of Israel for the following 30 plus years. You're missing that Israel is a foreign nation halfway across the world that has no business receiving my tax dollars. Why are we sending them billions of dollars in our tax money while our country burns and is overrun by illegal immigration? We are told Israel is our quote-unquote greatest ally, so why would they have had a massive spy network targeting U.S. government agencies leading up to September 11, 2001? See the Israeli art students, DEA reports, for copious evidence of Israeli surveillance all across the continental U.S. This is an official government report that cites hundreds of incidents of observed Israeli surveillance teams documented by the U.S. government agents all across the continental U.S. And we still have received zero answers as to why there were numerous fake Israeli moving companies positioned all across the eastern seaboard leading up to September 11, 2001. And we have multiple eyewitness reports as well as hard photographic evidence that they knew the attacks were coming at least a day before they did, and that they were positioned at a vantage point to photograph the attack up to a half hour before the first plane hit. Never got any answers, but you can read the official FBI reports about the incident. I've broken them down live on X before. That is just a small list of some of the best documented reasons why I, as an American, don't want Israel receiving any of my tax dollars. And I didn't even mention my obvious objections to the collective punishment, mass surveillance, forced starvation, bombing of refugee camps, brutal murdering of women and children that's been going on in Gaza and the West Bank for years, decades, which you can watch in graphic detail right here on X. And that's not to mention that somehow we let Congress pass laws outlawing anti-Semitic speech, despite our own First Amendment. And we have anti-boycott legislation in multiple states, despite the fact that it's perfectly legal to boycott American companies, just not Israeli ones. Every content creator knows the fastest way to get demonetized, banned, and slandered is to be critical of Israel. I figured you would have realized this too after what they did to you and tried to do to X just last year.
Mm.
Whoo, burn.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like, bro, you're promoting the same people that got all the advertisers to pull from you.
I mean, this is the problem. Go ahead.
It was a constant burn. That's what I'm saying. It was like, yo, how do you not know this, Elon? See, look, you're riding so hard on this side, but you don't know that they control 90% of this. You don't know that, bro. Your platform, there be so much anti-Semitic rhetoric on here. It is crazy that you're even taking their side. I mean, it's like you can be pro-Jewish and all that good stuff. Like, trust me, I'm pro-Jewish, all that good stuff. I believe that, you know, they deserve to be alive. I'm not like on this Hamas stuff. I don't believe that you should just dismantle Israel. I do believe there should be a two-state solution, but that's neither here or there. But when it comes to this point right here, though, it is a bit crazy how there's some people just lean so hard on that side.
Wow. So that went, again, absolutely viral. Wait, Scott.
The pro-Israel side.
Tyler, can you bring that back up so we can see the retweets that this received? 52,000 retweets. That is incredible. 255,000 likes, loves, whatever, and 7.8K comments and 7,800 comments, pardon. I did the video, and truly, like, I was just like standing up, just giving a round of applause, because so many of us, I think, have really woken up to that over the last 2 years. And it's been crazy to see. And everybody obviously knows that this is why my YouTube is demonetized. It's like, you have to take this perspective and support this country or else. And it seems crazy because many of us genuinely, like, from the bottom of our hearts, just weren't aware of any of this stuff. You know, we kind of went through this programming in school. And it's interesting because there is this philosopher, you may have seen him on Tucker, actually sat down with him, a Russian philosopher.
Here's the thing. This is not about Jew bashing. Trust me. That's the last thing we're going to do on YouTube.
Yeah, low key.
But it is about,
even if you wanted to.
But guess what you can do? You can criticize governments.
Yes.
And the government of Israel is, well, they're out of line. They're out of line.
Personally,
they're out of line.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, nothing against the Jewish people, but everything against the elites that are running the Israeli government. They just happen to be Jewish. They're out of line when it comes to solving this problem with Hamas.
But honestly, I hold our government accountable too. I mean, they're sanctioning all this.
I mean, yeah, they sanction, they fund it, they tell us it's okay, they're terrorists. But here's the thing, though, it's like, look, you can't keep saying that, oh, they hide behind children. Then, bro, you got to find a better way than just bombing buildings.
Oh, they're hiding in the tunnels.
But you got to find a better way than bombing buildings. I don't care what it is. Just stop bombing buildings, killing civilians, and then said, oh, Hamas was there. How many then? How many? You telling me 2-3 Hamas was worth an entire building of people?
But when people say they're trying to mow the grass of Palestinians and completely terrorize and dismantle all the buildings and build up the real estate again just to sell it off, people call us conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, that's facts.
Philosopher named Alexander Dugin, who Tucker sat down with because his daughter was murdered by Zelensky. And he's written books, The Fourth Political Theory, who did this thread the other week, or maybe it was actually last week, or maybe it was like a couple of days ago, where he spoke about, and he said specifically, the religion of the Holocaust has been broken. The religion of the Holocaust hasn't broken. Now, people who are not easily offended, and you really consider what it is that he's saying, and I understood what he meant, which is to say, I grew up so much in my heart feeling like it was my job, after having learned in school, as we all must go through, learning about World War II and the Holocaust. We're shown all these graphic images. It is such a required part of our learning environment. And then we have Hollywood, we have all of these movies, and we just feel this tremendous burden for something.
Oh yeah, and shout out Big Wave Dave. He says, hey, play the video I sent in general in honor of Joe's mom. All right, bro. All right.
That we weren't alive for, and we go, oh my goodness. Like, if anybody says anything about Jewish people, I will just instantly react. You know, you feel so instantly protective because in many ways we were so traumatized to learn of these atrocities in the classroom. So, and I think that's what he's talking about when he says the religion of the Holocaust has been broken, because he went on to say that it was broken by Bibi Netanyahu and Zelensky. And finally, we have brought them down, he says, like the Jewish people down to where everyone else is, where we now recognize that there are evil, horrible, atrocious Jews, Black people, white people. We recognize that. And I think prior to that, the religion of the Holocaust, meaning like how we learned about this in school, disallowed us to ever have that perspective about a Jewish person. And everything has now changed in the last, I would say, really since October 7th, because I've seen people that I respected, people that I came up in this movement with, say and do such despicable, horrific, dishonest things, all in the name of serving this foreign country, which is doing. I can see it on my ex. Okay, there's no article that can be written in any publication that is going to remove me from my own eyes the amount of death, and to justify it with the animosity and the hatred in their heart towards Palestinian children. I can't unsee it. You know, I can't unsee it. And so,
you know what? And this is the type of radicalized, thinking we be talking about.
This is exactly what we're calling out here. This person is literally refusing to make the distinction between Palestinians and Hamas, almost excusing all the Palestinians to be exterminated.
There is no innocent Palestinian.
They're all Hamas.
So, and that's what's crazy, because if you really want to go back to it, Hamas, well, it was a government. It was a government.
It was a party. It was a government party.
It was a government party. It was a leading government party.
Yep.
Now turned terrorist organization. So let's be real. Let's say this. Let's say a country attacks America and they go for every Republican. They go for every Republican, but they start killing all Americans. Does that make sense?
No, none.
Yeah, but they said their goal is to go after all Republicans, but they're taking out all Americans. Did that make sense to you?
At all.
So why is going after Hamas, you're taking out all Palestinians?
I don't know. It's just a justification, really. Like I said, mowing the lawn of Palestinians. This is not a newfound concept. This has always been people's perception. Bro, you have people who you'll show them, they'll pull up a map and they'll be like, show me where Palestine's at. It doesn't exist. Like, people just the same accusation you can make as anti-Semitism. There's not even a term for it, but people literally deny the existence of the Palestinian people and their right to exist.
Bro, they denied the fact that Palestine was even a land.
Bro,
that's even ultimately disrespectful.
Like, bro,
like, we're not going to sit here and pretend that, Palestine was there before Israel. Okay, do we really need to sit there and say that? In 1948, boom, Israel became a thing. Stop acting like Israel was there since 100 BC.
It's sick how far some people go with this shit.
So in many ways, I think breaking that spell and recognizing that we're all human, irrespective of whether we are Jewish, whether we are Christian, whether we are white, whether we are Black, whether we are Muslim, that there are tremendously good people. It was good for us to recognize and to see this evil. And for those who are interested to see this turning point, it is a cultural turning point. Alexander Dugin was correct. There is a cultural turning point right now. And it's a bit also kind of reminds me of what my husband says all the time. He says wealth is ruined, like generational wealth. Wealth is ruined by the third generation. I guess it's an old saying, it's an old expression, maybe it's an old British expression, I don't know. But the idea is that it's the grandchildren that ruin it. And I think in many ways, when I see it now, the entitlement of the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren, people that were in the Holocaust, and the nastiness of how they treat people, like, well, my grandfather lived through this, so now I can just smear you and libel you and lie about you and lie about your heart, is what has ruined it. It has ruined it. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was super fascinating to hear him just lay that out, for it to go so viral. So many more eyes will be open because of that, recognizing that there was no community notes put on that. And he listed all of his sources as well. And if you're someone who truly grew up like me with that in your heart, and then being so confused by what appears to be people that you thought were victims that are acting and saying things that are so objectively evil, it will help guide you. I think it will really help guide you to recognize that, hey, we're just all human. And everybody sucks and is evil and awful.
And quick shout out to Vladstein, man. $5. Appreciate you, bro. The West Bank is Palestinian as well, but Israel isn't going after them. So I think they can coexist, or at least there should be a two-state solution, in my opinion.
Like, yeah, bro, I'm thinking the same thing, Vlad. Like, when it comes to that, like, bro, there got to be some type of solution where the Palestinians, or I'm gonna be real with you, to where we can create no more Hamas, where majority of the Palestinian is pleased. We're like, oh, okay, we got our land, we got our own sovereignty here. Perfect. We're good. And you would tell me if the Jewish state of Israel gave it to them, that's even better. But if they got to go up there with Israel and carve it out for themselves, it's always going to be F them. And they're their neighbors. Unless you want to completely eradicate your neighbors.
Yeah,
And that's how both sides is kind of
when you don't respect your neighbor's right to exist, then
yeah. And
you can justify some pretty sick
so
things.
funny. Israel says, "Oh, they want to eradicate all Jews." I'm like, bro, y'all are actually trying to eradicate all Palestinians.
Yeah.
It's like one's talking, the other one's doing.
And speaks like genocidal maniacs sometimes. And I think Bibi Netanyahu is genocidal maniac. But I can say that now because I'm already demonetized. Can't do it twice. All right, guys. I want to remind you about Pure Talk because last year we voted big government out and efficient government in. Well, now it's time to take action.
Now that she's doing her commercial break, we should go ahead and go into our musical intermission. Shout out Big Wave Dave. He says, Joe Schmo, this is for your mother. I don't know what you did to piss this man off, but here you go.
Hold on, before you start that, Fox Chase, poll, should Joe Smo be booted?
I'm weak.
Well, damn.
I'm weak. Well, I guess we have to poll it.
Man, and yeah, I guess we do. And how does the poor deny something that how does the poor deny something, then say he said it right after? The delusion is insane. All right, let's keep it going. All right, we got 41 until we open up the call in, guys. Me too. The music video wild as hell. But great song though. Huh. All right, then let's get right to it.
Back to the show.
We should speak about Mark Zuckerberg because Mark Zuckerberg, I guess he thought he was attending like
that actually got the stream taken down.
Oh, it said Joe reported us.
Oh, I guess were we talking in between it?
Well, that was one song we've done.
Yeah.
Of
I don't know. Sometimes it be acting wild and be picking and choosing. I'm just like, damn, that was the first time we played that mug. Man, I don't know. Maybe it was the way we had it set up. Right when we switched into Candace, though, and how long was it suspended for? Yeah, maybe we need to stay on that side low key because we could have low key easily effed around and got our shit taken down. Damn, understand. Temporarily blocked.
But did he really report us though?
I doubt it. Oh, this thing.
If he did, that is funny though.
I ain't gonna lie though. All right, we're good.
And we're back.
All righty.
All right.
That was low-key kind of funny. That was funny, okay? Yeah, y'all funny for that. All right, let's get right back to it, guys.
A Catholic confession when he went on Joe Rogan.
Shout out for the over 100 y'all that stayed patient, man. Make sure y'all like the video. Double tap that screen. Hit the 3 dots up there in the corner. Let's get right back to it.
He tells the truth about something that he's just been lying about for years. And I guess we're supposed to go applaud him for stating the obvious, which is that we were all very clearly being irrationally censored during the COVID period. And basically, they were only allowing lies to spread because they wanted to force everyone to get a vaccine that they obviously knew was not going to stop the spread. And they obviously knew could lead to some very serious injuries. I'm talking face paralysis, people were getting all sorts of paralysis, men were getting myocarditis, and they just censored all of this. And they're like, it's great, it's safe, it's effective. Get the vaccine, you idiots, right? This is kind of the rhetoric that we heard. And Mark Zuckerberg was a part of that, and now he's kind of trying to walk it back because he realizes that he's on or has been on the losing side. So here's what he told Joe Rogan. Take a listen.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse. And it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Oh, did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we, but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails, the emails are published. It's all kind of out there. And they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They want us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like,
imagine the government of the United States coming after Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, for fucking memes
and jokes.
Like, bro, this shit is crazy.
But the memes was hitting.
No, for real. Funny as shit.
Some of the memes are accurate to that.
A little too accurate.
A little too accurate. Some of them will be recognized.
No, you have to take that down. We just said no. We're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then like all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating, coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Okay, so I'm still not going to be a hater. He does look better with longer hair. He doesn't look like a lizard, but he's still saying lizardy things, okay? And I just don't trust him. I find him to be a bit of a reptile, And essentially what he's saying is, I don't have a spine. If you don't have a spine, I don't want you leading a social media company, right? I just don't want you leading. I want you to step aside and let someone who, when they receive a phone call from the Biden administration and someone's cursing them out, someone that will give it right back to them. That's what I want, okay? That's what we should expect, given the fact that we have free speech in this country. Okay, free speech means that you have the
like, bro, I don't wish somebody would get big at me like my job like that. Start cursing over the phone and all that good stuff. I'll literally be like, all right, bro, drop the email. Let me call this person up. All right, sir. Apparently you got some problem with me. Like, do we need to can we handle this at work? Do we need to go outside of work? Let me know something. Ain't no way you talking like this in the company email.
Like, the freedom to talk about the effects that a vaccine has had on you. You have the freedom to speak about the fact that you got a vaccine today, and you may be passed out. Maybe you got myocarditis, you were in the hospital because of the vaccine. He took that away from people. And in the process, actually, if you think about it, harmed a lot of people who maybe would not have gotten the vaccine if they had heard alternative voices like myself. And it infuriates me because now it's, he's at Mar-a-Lago, he's on Joe Rogan. Okay, great. I'm glad that you're having the conversation, but I wish it wasn't such a buddy-buddy conversation. Like, he's not the victim of this. Like, you're not a victim of your own cowardice. You're just a coward, okay? And so it's frustrating for people like me who really stepped to the plate and sued Facebook throughout this time for taking down a post where I was telling the truth about COVID. And the judge wouldn't even hear the case because he just agreed with the lie, essentially, because it became that political, where the judge was like, I'm not even going to hear this case and let you presented in front of a jury because I've just decided that Facebook is right to censor this stuff because you had an older judge who's just fearful of COVID. And it just, you look back on it, and my platform got demonetized at that time, which tends to be apparently what happens to me. But you hold on to the truth and eventually it comes out. And yeah, you lose money in the process. I just calculate every month how much money I'm losing on YouTube because I'm just not going to buck and bend the knee to Bibi Netanyahu. But in the end, it's going to be worth it. I know that because in the end, truth always wins. I truly do believe that. And I'm glad Zuckerberg is finally recognizing that and he's sharing these things, but he doesn't.
Because, it's crazy. I didn't even know she was, unmonetized or demonetized because usually, I forgot. I usually do see that stuff, the super chat stack up on Candace stuff.
Yeah.
So
wait, if you're able to receive super chats, aren't you monetized though?
Yeah, but she's not.
Huh?
Usually you do see him on Candace stuff, but she's not monetized, so I didn't see any. Oh, so I clicked over to her Rumble and I was like, oh, okay, I see everybody there.
Rumble Rants.
Yeah, shout out to Rumble Rants. Yes, and Rumble Rants is honestly, shout out to Rumble Rants. I seen somebody damn near write a whole half a paragraph with just $1. Oh, like what? Ain't got no limit on the donation text.
No caption limit. That's what's up.
All right, shout out Rumble.
Not have a sympathetic shoulder with me. I will say that there's no sympathetic shoulder. Man up, okay? Can everybody just man up? Let's just start selling man up t-shirts just across the board. I mean, Brigitte, Emmanuel, Zuckerberg, can everybody just man up? Put a little bit of hair on your chest. By the way, this is a real headline. I just wanted to show it to you. Speaking of Meta, it says Meta orders the removal of tampons in men's rooms amid Zuckerberg post-election shakeup. It's real. It's actually real. I know you're thinking it looks like a Babylon Bee headline, but Babylon Bee is not funny anymore. That's funny. That's actually real. And so I guess we're winning, guys. He's serious. He's so serious. He's taking tampons out of the men restroom. I don't know what this world has come to. I truly do not. All right, guys. So let's, before we get out of here, speak about the California fires. Obviously, now what's being debated is why didn't we have these controlled burnings? And it turns out that in order for these controlled burnings to happen, they have to go through the state is blaming the federal government, saying that they have to go through the National Environmental Policy Act, which is a review process before they can burn, which lasts anywhere from 3.6 years to 7.2 years. So basically, they just weren't allowed to conduct these burnings. Again, we're still trying to see whose fault it is. Is it the state's fault? Is it the federal government's fault? My money is on potentially both.
And all right, shout out Big Wave Dave. He said, man up, not like poor Schmo. He needs his tampons.
Wow.
Man.
He's on your ass, Joe. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, man. That's tough.
Man, fuck Chase, but
you know,
I feel it.
Hey, his nickname is Double Down Dave for a reason.
Man.
This was a policy that was put in place when Biden was in office. If you have Biden and you've got Gavin Newsom, I don't know. It's like that Spider-Man meme where they just point at each other. Who knows who would have come up with something this ingenious? But obviously, this is what has led to so much devastation. And the PBD podcast, they were discussing this. Tom Ellsworth was basically speaking as to why the insurance companies declined to cover for fire. So all of these people who have lost their homes, many of them aren't even going to get a check. And what's going to happen is some rich person is going to come in and they're going to get all of their land. They're going to sell what they owned at a fraction of the cost because they literally have nowhere to live. It's truly horrific. And listen.
And if you ask Democrats, that's good for them. That's capitalism. It affects you too, dumbass.
That is crazy.
Like crazy.
To Tom's explanation as to what went on.
People just out of a home like that.
And I'll put some stats behind it. So I'm not going to mention everything that we talked about, Dudley. I'm not talking about any companies that he mentioned. I'm just looking at facts. Facts. State Farm and Allstate stopped selling insurance because of the California Fair Plan and Governor Newsom. Fact. State Farm announced last year they would non-renew 30,000 policies and what they called, ready for this? Wildfire risk areas. And you're thinking middle of nowhere, Big Bear, up in the forest. Nope. Guess what? They non-renewed. Here's the stat. State Farm non-renewed 69% of the policies it had in Pacific Palisades. Data point this morning confirmed. State Farm said last year, we're non-renewing 69% of the homes we insure currently today in Palisades. Why? Long-term brush risk and poor management of the common area.
You can't blame them.
No, I'm not blaming them.
I know you're not, but what I'm saying is, you cannot blame the business.
Newsom addressed this shit. It actually just points to how egregious the decision not to let the rainwater collection, the bill that he decided not to pass. It just points to how egregious that decision was. The insurance companies knew exactly what Gavin Newsom and his team should have been privy to.
I mean, the insurance companies have to do that investigation. Like, you want to know why? Because how stupid would it be to invest into a high-risk area?
Exactly. But if the insurance companies are making that investigation, then they would either be reporting that to the state or the state would have access to the same information.
So, damn it, man.
Gavin Newsom, bro.
He's stupid. Has to make profits. And when the regulators make their life a living hell and make them look bad, what do you want us to do? Take a loss every year?
Correct. Now I'm going to the punchline. Why did they do that? Because the county of LA and the city of LA had suspended brush removal in Palisades. This comes down to the county.
Are you joking?
Yeah, you can find it. You can find it was suspended here. Casual brush removal suspended here. Limited brush removal suspended here. This is all going to come out because Zach Levi
That's
and
when
other
Trump
people,
said he got to clean the floor. And the floor
That's exactly right. I'm not down on the insurance companies. I'm saying the insurance companies are at the bottom of the waterfall, and at the top of the waterfall is the state with their policies and budget cuts on fire and brush suppression and all the things that they've done, despite the level of taxes they're collecting.
Listen, here's what I will say. We need to pay very close attention to who is going to be buying up this land, because the little conspiracy theorist in me believes that this could be a land grab. You know, we are seeing these sorts of incidences. Suddenly they have no insurance. They can't get their homes rebuilt. They're going to have to sell their land. And they're, like I said, people are going to get it at an absolute bargain. And who are those people that are going to swoop in immediately and buy the land? That's what we're going to pay attention to. We have to hound these people because something here feels off. Now we're hearing about arsonists. We're hearing that houses are burning and there's just literally nothing left. Like, it's not like there's just no way that this house can be rebuilt, sort of a thing. And I find it to be tremendously suspicious. The policies that are passed right before, you know, the insurance declining to cover just last year, and then this happens. Something is not sitting right with me. Anyways, before I get to your comments, we should end on a happy note or a sad note, depending on which way you want to lean, regarding these fires. Meghan, our Duchess, has decided that she's going to push the Netflix series, the one that we showed you of her cooking, because it's so relatable. She felt that maybe it would not be relatable at this time to see her cooking in a mansion that belongs to one of her friends, and inviting over her rich and fabulous people as she gets honey out of the garden and presents perfect Martha Stewart looking cakes. They thought maybe that's not the right time. It was kind of devastating that they're going to have to push that, but then people will be able to watch it at a later time. But by the way, her and Prince Harry, who always seem to snap into these weird royal roles, meaning they just go and visit the victims, like exactly what you would expect royals to do or politicians to do. They do this, and they are doing this right now in Southern California. And I just wanted to show you this really hilarious clip of these, the mayor. I don't even know the mayor of where. You're going to have to tell me in my ear. A mayor of Pasadena describing how Harry and Meghan are here, and the reporter describing how hard Harry and Meghan, particularly Meghan, is working. Take a listen. Here's what she's doing.
It looked as if, the two of them might want to really be helpful. As I mentioned, I saw actually Meghan Markle like stoop down and take off the lid of a plastic bin. Do they want to really get down and dirty?
She stooped down and she picked up the lid of a plastic bin. And that's how I knew my girl was real. And I just want to thank Meghan for doing that. It's very helpful for her to stoop down and do that. If there's any plastic bins you guys see around that need picking up, you can hit up your girl, Meghan Markle. It's amazing. I really got just such a chuckle out of that description. It's just such a nonsense. Nobody cares. Send money, send food. Is about what these people need. They need donations, they need a place to live, they need hotels. That's not to say they aren't doing that. I'm sure perhaps they are in the background. I don't understand this visit. But I do have to shout out Beyonce today. She was on my mind. I was on the treadmill this morning and I just kept dancing to single ladies. This is why I have to have a treadmill in my house, because I do not behave correctly on treadmills. I literally will watch the music videos and do all the dances. Anyways, I was just looking back as I was watching her song Halo and all these black and white artistic videos that she created. And I was like, I miss this Beyonce, before she got too political. And then my producer told me that.
And then she tried to become a country singer.
Yeah, that was funny.
I mean, yeah, funny.
I mean, her fans loved that era.
Yeah. Well, to her, Beyonce could do nothing wrong, but everybody else.
Beyonce had just donated. She's not going down and picking up plastic lids, but she did donate $2.5 million to Los Angeles area wildfire relief via Be Good or Bay Good, which is her foundation. So kudos to Beyonce. I'm sad that, me and Miss Tina have so much drama and so much beef out in these streets, but I do miss the.
I mean, shout out to Beyonce though. I mean, look, you sold out to Kamala, but you're doing right with this. Shout out to Beyonce.
Respect that.
Dance party with Beyonce. That shit was killing me.
Old Beyonce, I really do. And so it's great to see that she has given in the capacity that she has given. All right, guys, before I get into your comments, reminding you about American financing, because I know there's a lot of us that are trying to get our finances in order and start the year off right. There is some great news for homeowners that come after me for RN Explorer said new merch drop, Mr. and Mr. Macron. I love that. Yes, I still can't believe they included the t-shirt. I just don't know what they think that is.
And all right, guys, we're also about to get into this wildfire debate, man, because shout out to Piers. He says, woefully incompetent. I mean, such a British thing to say. I mean, just like the term unlawfully at large. They have such a sophisticated way of talking. I love it.
Leadership in California is absolutely accountable for this. They are the ones who are in charge of mitigating these kinds of disasters.
She was rolled out as a woman who's lesbian. The very same for the assistant fire chief who says she won't pull a man out of a fire. We don't have to call them diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. They will do that themselves.
I think a lot of people voted for her because she was a black woman, not because she's any good at her job.
You're calling someone who was democratically elected a DEI hire.
Let me finish.
Newsom's incompetent in that he doesn't really care about the sort of boring part of politics. He's a liar and he's sociopathic.
You know, I'll say it, Pierce. Make California great again, and it ain't going to be Gavin Newsom.
When a politician scolds an opponent for playing politics, it's normally because they don't like where the politics is going for them. Of course, California Governor Gavin Newsom didn't start the wildfires that are devastating Los Angeles. Neither did the small army of local officials and fire chiefs whose records and prior statements are now under the microscope. But they stand plausibly accused of chronic collective mismanagement with appalling and deadly consequences.
I want to know the answers. So I'm the governor of California. I want to know the answer. I've got that question. I can't tell you about how many people, what happened. On my own team saying what happened. And I want to get the answers.
Mr. Newsom, you are the governor of California. It's the people who want answers from you. And I'm not sure why they should have to.
Yeah, man, we showed that video last night. We're like, Governor, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm on the phone with the president. How about the president? But what are you going to do? He's like, don't worry. Once I get word from the president, I'll figure it. I'm like, bro, Gavin, you control all the resources in California as their governor.
It's been 5-6 days
Bro,
now. You don't have an answer?
The top of leadership in California does not have an answer for this.
Yeah.
You can't pull resources from other cities and all that to get this solved. You're over here calling the president. What? Yeah.
Same president who called him out for his neglectful bill, for the neglectful decision he made on that bill.
I mean, I think that was Trump who did that, right?
Yep.
No, not Biden. Remember, Biden's still our president.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
We got 7 days though. 7 days. And then by the time the show ends, it'll be 6.
Get them from a smirking appearance on what looked like a very calm, unhurried podcast recorded while the biggest city in the state is literally burning to the ground. Newsom has scolded President-elect Trump for spreading misinformation during this crisis, but doesn't even seem.
Hey, shout out my man. He said,
I'm so weak.
Go ahead, you got that one.
Daniel Castro equals Flex King equals Dave has a mangina.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I had to. I'm sorry. I had to make you do that one.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It just sounds funnier when you do. You just say it so perfectly awkwardly.
Wow.
Clear about what that information is.
The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation.
You stupid.
Sorry? You understand what you just said?
Like,
LA's
like, bro, wait, what?
Agrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation.
You're fired.
Sorry? You understand what you just said? LA's mayor, Karen Bass, who was 8,000 miles away in Ghana for some inexplicable reason, when this inferno took hold, has denied that funding cuts to the fire department have had any impact on its abilities to fight fires. The city's fire chief, whose people are risking their own lives to save others, doesn't agree.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. With that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service. And having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact.
Well, someone is lying, and my money's on the politicians. After all, if that fire chief was lying, she'd now be an ex-fire chief. The fire service itself is now facing difficult.
So pretty much they're trying to blame the fire chief, and here's the thing though, the LA mayor came back and fired the fire chief. But here's the thing though, the LA mayor took out 17.5 million out of the fire department.
Yeah, she tried to use this, the police, the fire chief as a scapegoat.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, come on. Like complete failure in leadership, and you try to pass it off when really it's like, what you mean? This whole problem starts with you. You took 17.5 million away from these people. All the things she was talking about, that sounds like 17.5 million could have helped that.
Questions over an apparent obsession with diversity. The tip of an assistant fire chief, released as a promo for his DIE policies, has aged like sour milk.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like.
I'm sorry. Like,
brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Bruh, that I'm sorry, that's a banger though.
Like, bro,
hey, nah,
the chief of fire saying shit like this.
Nah, she gonna hit that man with
Well, screw you guys, I'm going home.
And that man just gonna sit in there just like
I'm in danger.
I don't know why. God damn it. It's like last night when I was like, that's like the police telling your ass when you call 911, like, what you say you at? You said you where? Oh, your ass shouldn't have went over there. Bro, you
really, nigga?
Out yourself. You shouldn't have been in that spot.
Oh, wow. Like, boy, you better take off.
Well, now hundreds of thousands of people are in the wrong place, and they couldn't give a damn whether the firefighters are black, white, or bright green, let alone their sexuality or anything else. They just want to save their lives and their homes. The comedian and radio presenter Adam Carolla, who I will interview later in the show, gave this testimony before Congress in 2017.
I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps. And I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see in about 7 years.
Damn. Well, the point about DEI is not that gay, black, or female people are unfit to be firefighters. It's about a systemic misjudgment of priorities. It's about a state that spent $24 billion to end homelessness.
That was a pretty big guy too. So I'm just like, hold on,
we turned his ass down
in the prime of his youth.
Like what?
19. I'm like, bro, we need to do like you out here.
Strapping young man.
Like, no, you can carry 2 people twice your age. Let's go, man.
You got the police chief over here saying like, nah, he was in the wrong spot, wrong time.
Wrong spot, wrong time. 7, you know, if he came here maybe like 10 years ago when it was okay to be a white man, it'd have been cool. Crazy.
Ended up with more people living on the streets. It's about a state that suffers dozens of massive fires every single year, but leaves its biggest city with empty hydrants in the middle of the worst fire in its history. And stuck in the middle of all this are the people whose lives are being turned upside down, including many of my friends and neighbors. I have a home in Beverly Hills. This crisis is nowhere near over. And when it is, they will expect answers and change. Well, to debate, I'm joined by the host of Keeping It Real podcast, Gillian Michaels, by Amala Ekpunobi, who's the host of The Amala Show, by the Night School host, Mark Lamont Hill, and the activist influencer, Michael Mez. Well, welcome to all of you. Let me start with you, if I may, Mark Lamont Hill, because you've been getting into it with lots of people about the whole issue of DEI and whether that's had any involvement here or whatever. What's your overview here? I mean, do you think it's played any part? Are you uncomfortable about the advert I just showed with people who are sort of, looks like to me like they're playing the DEI card to justify their position?
Those are two different questions. I'll answer them both, though. The first thing is, do I love the commercial? No, I think the commercial misses the mark for several reasons. And it doesn't get to the heart of why you would want a DEI effort at the fire department. At the end of the day, the most important thing, as is the case whenever you have any kind of intervention like this, is that qualified people are there and that everyone has a fair shake at a high quality job, that no one is underqualified or unqualified for the job. In terms of the fire,
But let's be real though, in terms of being a firefighter, there would be some people who's underqualified.
Yeah.
I mean, strength
Very
requirement, skill requirement. Like, come on now. You just can't have like fat 300-pound people as firefighters. That's
It's
just
like-
not going to work.
It's the same argument as lowering the standard for the military. You put in a lot of people at risk.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Which is your first question. I don't think that DEI has anything to do with these fires. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and a lot of it has to do with Democrats, Democratic mayor, Democratic governor, Democratic councils. I mean, there's a lot of criticism to go around. There's a lot of targets here, but DEI to me isn't the issue here. I'm more concerned with how the police were overfunded and fire departments were underfunded.
Can we say that DEI and Democratic leadership is perfect? Like, I think that's what perfect.
Go woke, go broke.
Yep, go woke, go broke.
I'm interested in climate change and having that conversation. We have to have a conversation about the kind of homes we have and the kind of homes we build these days. There are lots of things to talk about, but I don't think DEI is the blame here.
Okay, Gillian, you lost a home in a previous fire in LA in 2018. You've had to evacuate your own mother in these fires. I've got to say, my place is in Beverly Hills, which thankfully has not been hit yet, although the next 48 hours will be pretty crucial, I think, as to what happens, because the Santa Ana winds are going to come back with a vengeance, we're told. And if they head northeast, as they did a couple of days ago, and they jump the 405 freeway, and everyone in Los Angeles knows what that means for Bel Air, Beverly Hills, and potentially everywhere else in the city. So these are pretty scary times for everyone who has a property there. What do you feel? I mean, as someone who's watched this play out before and suffered a horrible loss yourself, what do you feel about the blame game, the accountability part?
Hey, the best thing about Cali is you can't point in no Republicans' direction. You can't point in. Now, I'm praying for Cali, but it's kind of crazy how it's like, thank you. It's one situation where they just can't point at us and be like, and try to pass it off in not one way. They can't do it.
Democratic city leaders, state leaders,
councilors, council. No, everything's them. This is all on them. They can't point to us for nothing. Nothing. Love it.
Well, I think that leadership in California is absolutely accountable for this. They are the ones who are in charge of mitigating these kinds of disasters. And I want to play complete devil's advocate here. Let's go with we do know that
really maybe we need some conservative leadership back in there. You feel me? Cali, maybe it's time for y'all just to go red.
You know what was surprising about
and I'm talking about the inner cities of Cali.
You know what was surprising though, looking at the electoral map during the election about Cali, there is some red in there.
No, there's predominantly red. It's just the inner cities. You're talking about land wise, yeah, but them inner cities, I mean Los Angeles, Oakland, y'all got to go ahead and just turn a new leaf.
California is prone to wildfires. Santa Ana winds, we all know this. And I'm not a climate change expert here, but if we play that card, and I'm more than happy to do it, you should have been that much more prepared. And we know for a fact that if we were doing prescribed controlled burns, forestry cleanup, creating fire breaks, if we had the reservoir filled that was uphill from the Palisades, the one closest to the Palisades, we probably could have put that fire out more effectively by getting it done sooner rather than days later. If you manage the state's water more efficiently, and there are so many issues with that, considering how many billions of gallons go to growing shelled nuts. It's like 80% of the state's water, which is 2% of the state's GDP. If you reprioritized where you're putting the state's budget instead of giving homeless people drug kits and maybe invested in desalination plants, I mean, there are so many things that we can talk about in this episode that are grossly negligent and would have had a massive impact on saving lives and saving people's homes.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling, Michael, I'll bring you in here.
And the only direction to point the finger of blame is in Gavin Newsom. I mean,
yeah. Well, in LA mayor.
The mayor, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, there's a lot of people who are neck to Gavin, lieutenant, what was it? What they called it? Lieutenant governor?
Yeah.
There's a lot of mother effers you could sit out there and blame. It's like, come on now.
If you're a resident of Cali, bro, y'all leaders failed y'all.
Oh, God. If you're a resident of Los Angeles, you're looking at the mayor and Newsom like, bro.
Where the fuck were y'all at, bro?
Like, what was y'all?
My home is going because of y'all.
Bro. But, when it's time for them to take questions.
I'm on the phone with the president right now.
is having had a home in LA for 15 years and lived and worked there for 20 years. This issue of the fire.
Instead of giving homeless people drug kits and maybe invested in desalination or
is having had a home in LA for 15 years and lived and worked there for 20 years. This issue of the fires has been ever present. I mean, the big fear has always been another big earthquake. But everyone's been very aware that there's been a lot of fires and they seem to have been getting more prevalent, not less prevalent. And everyone's been like, well, what's being done to protect everybody? And you kind of, there was perhaps a false complacency that stuff was being done that meant this stuff we're seeing now couldn't have happened, but it has. And yet, as I say that, I'm mindful of a clip of Joe.
And shout out Killswitch asking us to pay Killswitch and Cage, my curse.
I mean, nice name.
Shout out, we got you, bro.
Rogan, that's doing the rounds
After
on
this segment.
social media, which is from last summer, in which he talks about a previous conversation he had with a firefighter. Let's take a listen.
I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons that freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind and fire's going to start in the right place and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean. And there's not a fucking thing we can do about it.
Yeah.
I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it. Because these fires are so big, dude. When they're talking about like thousands of acres that are burning simultaneously with like 40-mile-an-hour winds. And the wind's just blowing embers through the air, and those embers are landing on roofs, and those houses are going up, and they're landing on bushes, and those bushes are going up, and everything's dry. And once it happens,
oh shit! Shout out Killswitch and another 50. Talk about how about
about
now?
now?
Hey,
You know what? We got you, Killswitch.
the persistence, my man. The persistence.
He learned from Dave, man. Hey, Killswitch.
Dave
So,
on a burner.
that would be crazy. Like, man, Dave, man, tune in real quick. Remember, real quick.
That is hilarious, bro. No
All
problem,
right, man.
man.
We got you, big
right
dog.
here, man.
All right, man. Killswitch.
Let's do it.
He said my curse. All right, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead and look over that. Yeah, it did it again.
Damn.
Yeah. Bro, it didn't even let me play it.
You didn't get a second.
Bro, what? Oh, those. I do it. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I think he put the AI on it.
Yeah, it might be over for this shit.
He put the AI on that motherfucker.
Musical intermissions. We back? No.
What was it? Yeah. All right. Whoops. Yeah. Nah, the AI is on our ass. The AI is on our ass.
Wait, so should we continue to play it or?
I mean,
it's almost over.
I mean,
just let that be the last song for the night.
Should be one. Because it's like, when did they start doing this? mean, we're back, guys. Shout out. Wow. Wow, YouTube. Wow. We're back, guys. Shout out. Wow. Insane. Insane. All right. So there's another way. Well, the only way I could say is probably no music video. Want to roll the dice on it?
No music video and play it on the Cannon screen. Yeah, try it.
All right. Cool. In the meantime,
It's like, is she gonna come after me?
Set up in the background for y'all. Go ahead and enjoy this. Pierce Morgan.
It happens in a way where it's so spread out that there's nothing they can do.
No, I mean, Michael, very prescient there. So people can't claim they didn't think this might happen. Literally, Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast of the world, is openly telling everybody what a firefighter told him was likely to happen. And that was a few months ago. What is your take on what you think has really been behind all this?
Well, I think that in terms of what actually caused this fire, we're still trying to figure that out. But it's clear that LA is a city that's built in a fire zone. Wildfires are endemic to the land. And we need to take that into account with the way that we govern this city and the way that we budget for emergency services and fire prevention. And I think that the city leaders do need to be held accountable for managing and preventing fires in a realistic way. We only spent $42 million per year on fire prevention. And I think we need to talk about how that budget is being allocated compared to other spending, like billions of dollars going to policing and the repairs on a reservoir that should have taken a week have taken more than a year. I think that those types of things absolutely should be coming under the magnifying glass. But I think that the point that Joe Rogan made in that clip is right, that this type of thing is going to happen. It's impossible to prevent
out from
fire devastation in the city of LA, but we can definitely mitigate it, and we need to be doing a really good job at mitigating it. And I think that this fire is showing that there are some gaps in our plan. It's really tragic.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute tragedy. And there is an argument, Amala, that no one could have done anything.
All right, now because I'm stubborn, we're going to try
to stop something quite like this, because it's been a freakish set of circumstances.
Just to mix it up, just because we don't want to get hit with another copyright, man. So I hope y'all enjoying the musical interludes, man. And if y'all appreciate y'all bringing y'all these segments, man, make sure to continue to support the channel. We appreciate the support. And go ahead and like the video if you haven't already. Double tap that screen, or you get the 3 buttons in the upper right hand corner.
That was a banger.
Yo,
That was a okay.
And shout out Kill Switch. He's on bull.
Open it. Kill Switch done opened it up, bro. It's like, all right.
Hey, shout out Kill Switch, man. Salute to you, bro. We appreciate the support, man. Baller alert. Let's get my man right.
All right, I got you, big dog. Cause
that is insane. Shout out Kill Switch, man. And obviously, keep the call in open. And shout out Dave following up with $20, man. We appreciate y'all. Let's go. Let's call in, man. I got y'all. I'm gonna put the link up here, and I'm gonna share it in the community tab. Y'all go ahead and queue up.
Man,
members, y'all know what time it is. Kill Switch. Go ahead and join on in, my boy. We appreciate it.
My man.
All right, shout out, man. All right, but was this the perfect?
Yep.
Now let's get back to the show. In the meantime, let's get these guys up. Shout out Key for the background work on that.
They come like the Mistrals in France, and when they come, you wake up and you a lot of howling wind, and your garden's covered in crap, and we're all used to it. What's different here is the winds were at 100 miles an hour. It's hurricane force winds, and it coupled with a fire. And when you have 100-mile-an-hour winds blowing across a city with a fire, it's a perfect hellish storm. So let me preface this by saying, it may be nothing could have stopped this from doing what it did. However, I think you have a view, contrary to what Mark said, that DEI and wokeness have played a part in the failures here. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we're going to learn in the days to come about these fires. As Jillian and I believe Mark mentioned, we're still waiting to see the cause of a lot of these fires. It's totally understandable to me that this is what happens in LA, that we can pretty much imagine that this is going to occur to some extent. But we can also see a department that has, in my opinion, wasted time and resources on these woke agenda pieces like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Where could that time and where could those resources have gone? What could they have been allocated to when it comes to response to these fires? Not only that, I'm seeing reports on social media, I don't know about anybody else, of arsonists, looters, and this is sort of a culture that we've created here in Los Angeles, here in California, with the way that we've been soft on crime, with the different policies that we've pushed forward. So honestly, I think we're at this moment of just waiting for information. But as Jillian said, you can also see that reservoir that held what should have been 117 million gallons of water was not working. The brush cleanup that should have been happening for decades was not happening. You have Rick Caruso here in Los Angeles, who was running for leadership. He managed to save his land, his properties, and he did so through proper planning and being proactive. So what could we have done in this city? Probably a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Lamont Hill, I saw you shaking your head there, but I'm not quite sure what you're shaking your head about. Because anyone who's lived in LA, like I said, it's been clear. Two things have been clear. Newsom has had a lot of rhetoric about being tough on crime and sorting out the homeless problem and so on. And the complete reverse has happened.
That's a lie.
Even in Beverly Hills, where I live, and I go to lots of other parts of the city when I'm in LA, but even in Beverly Hills, the degree of homelessness, the degree of crime, violent crime involving guns, right in the middle of Beverly Hills at lunchtime, shootouts in restaurants and things, that never used to happen. I can tell you, it was never like it is now. So there's no doubt to my mind that when Amala says what she said there about issues like the crime increasing and so on, it's indisputable. If you live there, you know it.
Shout out Vlad, $2. He said, I'm crushing on her just a bit. She's pretty cute.
I mean,
which one though? Honestly, both could get it if I'm being honest.
Yo, you wild.
If
But
I'm being honest.
I don't know about the other one, but come on, I don't know. She's a little too skinny for me.
Her?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is you, and this is a no?
Nah, her face too strong. God damn.
Oh, so no for both?
Nope, no for both.
No, I ain't mad at it.
Right. I mean, if one were not watching this video and only hearing it, they would think that I shook my head when we were talking about crime and homelessness. I didn't.
Well, you
so
seem to.
What I shook my head.
I'm sorry.
What I shook my head to was the issue around the quote unquote woke policies and DEI policies. Right. That specific is what I'm addressing. So we don't have to guess. I'm telling you what it was. The idea that there's some relationship between the fires and the department's investment in DEI policies. Even Amala herself has said, we're going to find out if that's the case. But why are we beginning from a premise that that is the case? Is anything possible? Sure, but there's no evidence of it. Also, the idea of calling it a wasted effort to me is a bit bizarre. As I'm sure you know, or maybe you don't, I'm talking to the audience, not you two in particular. The department had a significant.
Hey, shout out Vlad. I knew it was coming. $2. Set wants more cushion for pushing.
They wants to pierce the. Oh, damn! Now y'all going crazy.
Hey guys, the call in is open. I posted it in the community tab. Go ahead and queue up.
I mean, she's not ugly.
Yeah, he just said you like a little thicker. That's
Oh
what
God,
he said.
you know, she has some thighs. You know, she has some thighs, some hips on her. You know what? I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll be in there.
Yeah. Me personally, Chad, I max her out.
Significant problem with sexual harassment. The department had a significant problem with racial discrimination. It's acknowledged that the department had multiple firefighters sue. The department acknowledged that they were overrepresented by white men and underrepresented by other groups. And to be clear, that's a statistical analysis. That's not a subjective assessment. It's not a moral judgment. I'm saying they're overrepresented demographically. So in light of that, my question would be, if you don't think they needed an inclusion or equity initiative, how should they have responded? This is to Amala. How should they have responded to the proven cases of discrimination, sexism, and harassment that were happening in the department? What should they have done instead of having an initiative?
Okay, well, fair enough. Amala?
Yeah. Sure, I can answer that. Yeah, when we're looking at those cases that you've just spoken about, sure, we should hear out every single case of sexual harassment and discrimination, especially if we can prove that it's on the basis of race, or we can prove that there is ill intent within a department. Now, that's not what's being articulated by the LAFD. They are saying that they are looking specifically for people of certain races, of particular gender backgrounds, and we should be moving towards a race-neutral future. If you want people to be judged on the content of their character, of their abilities, their intelligence, their strength, which is very important when it comes to the fire department, you should do exactly that. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're a woman. It has nothing to do with your race. And as we saw that Assistant Fire Chief state, she's speaking about diversity, equity, and inclusion through a lens of wanting people who look like her to be in the department, wanting to be able to show up to houses of California residents that apparently look like her so she can serve them better. And she's not really speaking to her capabilities. As she even stated in her own video, she'd be incapable of carrying a man out of a fire. So your articulation of diversity, equity, inclusion is very different from what we're getting. And let's not forget that diversity, equity, and inclusion is based out of critical race theory, which is fundamentally flawed. If we truly want race neutrality and people to be judged based off of their abilities, we should do exactly that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, Mark, I'll come back to you.
So you said three things
hang on,
that
Mark.
weren't true
I'll come back to you
I'm
for a quick response, and I go to Gillian. But Mark, you know, it's come at the same week that we saw Mark Zuckerberg basically ending all of Meta's DEI programs, and with a complete reversal of everything else you could call woke policy. I mean, it seems to me that the wind is blowing. Well, I won't use that phrase because there's obviously a much bigger, more problematic wind blowing, but there is a change in direction.
Whoa, hold on.
That one's for you, Seth.
He said, Seth, you like nut butter? Whoa, guys. Hold on now. Hold on.
Trailed off here.
We done trailed off. We done went into some very, very homosexual waters. I don't like this.
Gay! Oh my God.
It's like, please take me out of the homosexual waters because y'all are giving me a
Emotional damage.
Like, chill.
From companies that you would say were very liberal skewed, like Meta and others, to just get rid of all DEI programs because they've concluded, and you may have a view about this, that they actually they are wrong. They promote mediocrity. They're not meritocratic in the way that companies should be.
It was just what you started.
And it's happening quite fast now since the big Trump win over Kamala Harris, who represented all this woke stuff to her bootstraps. What's your response to that?
Well, I think you're right to say that corporate investment in DEI was always cynical. They never cared about diversity, equity, or inclusion. They did it because it was popular. After the uprisings and following the murder of George Floyd, it was popular to say you were down with DEI, so they did it. And a lot of those companies never actually even turned in the money. They never actually followed up on the promises that they made. And now that it's no longer popular, they're pulling back. Corporate America does what's good for business, not what's good for people. But I reject your claim that DEI is not meritocratic or it undermines meritocracy. The data contradicts that. The decades of studies contradict that. I also reject Amala's claim that the fire department was doing something systemic in response to something that was individual. You know, she said they should have adjudicated those cases, but not going on this big initiative to have different hiring practices. I think maybe what you missed was the complaints themselves were about a systemic failure to hire qualified Black people, to hire qualified women. So again, when you talk about DEI, it's not about getting unqualified Black and brown and women in a room of qualified white men. It's about saying there's 10 qualified people in this room. The first 6 we've hired have been white men. Maybe the next 4 shouldn't be, when demographically there's enough Black people here or enough women or whomever.
Yeah, but hang on, that's exactly the point, which is when it comes to firefighting, actually, no. Sorry, I just want the best people for the job. Sorry, I do. If I'm
I want the best people who pull up for the job. That's all I want. Like, shoot, if it just happens to be all white men or all Hispanic men that pull up to be the firefighter, so be it. Y'all shouldn't go out y'all way to try to add more people in there if no more people if there's really not that much people pulling up. And then you shouldn't be trying to lower the standards so you can get more people in there. It's crazy.
You lower the standard, you raise the risk.
I was like, what?
And we do have a couple of our members taking part in the call in. So let's add Dave and Fox Chase in here, man. What's up, folks?
What up?
Fuck, lick my fucking taint.
Hey,
Wash your fucking taint.
And here we go.
All right.
What's up, Fox?
Shit. Now, besides like who's to blame, going further, I want to see what happens with the insurance companies, because I heard they're running for the hills, man, or they left them before a lot of them before the fire started. So that's the big
yeah, they
chaos.
did. They did leave them before the fire started.
So that means what? There's insight on what they knew or something? I mean, I don't know.
That might be tinfoil hat and reaching, but I don't disagree with you either.
I mean, it could be, but it's not crazy to say. That's for sure, the way shit is.
And isn't that sad that it's not crazy to fucking say?
Right. I mean,
y'all remember fucking Hawaii, right?
Yeah, $700 or something.
You remember fucking Hawaii, where if you had the blue roof, your place didn't burn?
Right.
Like that's fucking weird, bro.
That is crazy, actually.
Yeah, it is. And then,
related to Hawaii.
There's a lot of parallels.
But I'm gonna be real with you though. Hey, they're a little less like crazy, because remember what they were saying about Hawaii though. They were saying, they was using lasers and some other crazier stuff with that one.
Yeah, government weapons. And
yeah,
they try to come in and say Oprah, Mark Zuck, and I think The Rock bought all the land and shit.
Yeah. And then they're asking.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm wearing my tinfoil hat on that one.
All right, shit. Fuck it. Put it on then.
Well, one thing is for sure, like Trump said, they're giving them a mess.
This thing to say.
It's like identity.
But you know what?
Know. Maybe I am.
Oh
Maybe
shit!
I'm not.
I have to leave here. I have to leave here to fucking try and spend money, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
You said what, Dave?
No, I said I'd probably have to leave here to spend money, but I'm not leaving just yet. I'll try and spend again. Let's see how it goes.
Until then, though, you're possibly kill switch.
Tinfoil hat. Yo, said you definitely need you and Key definitely need that brother on your soundboard.
Yeah, just for you, Dave. Just for you. Go ahead.
Like you need that shit. I told you need that.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Brother,
What's that, brother?
As soon as you said it, I went and did it. I was like, I know exactly. I need it.
Shout out Blasty. It's actually a perfect segment.
That's a perfect one to have on your fucking soundboard. Now let's start playing videos
is
of
good.
the fucked up trainees and keep playing that sound.
Hold on, fellas. Shout out Vlad, $5. He said the new Tucker Carlson just dropped 4 hours ago and talks exactly about the intentional side of the fires. It's long, but I think it's worth watching. There's a specific segment in here I wanted to pull up.
I mean, last team, man. Hold on, bro. Did you take a peek into the show note?
He might have, G. Hey, Fox Chase, Big Wave Dave, stick around, bro. I want to get y'all take on this. I'm gonna mute you for a second, but man, this one was crazy.
Gotcha. Have at it.
For show.
All right, man. Let's get into meth heads and wildfires, man.
Do it.
So I guess the first question is, thank you for doing this. What
are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Okay.
Let's roll, shall we?
Good to be with you, Tucker. Nice to see you again. Yeah.
As I've said to you privately, but I mean it, I think you're maybe the best reporter working. I know you don't even think of yourself as a reporter, but a gatherer of facts and an explainer of what they mean. I think you're the best. So where do these fires, first of all, how many fires are there and where do they come from?
I believe there's 5 active fires right now. And these are ignition driven fires, meaning that this is all chaparral or, scrubland, brush area. So this is different than the Sierra forests.
Right. These are not forest fires.
Yeah, these are not forest fires. And that doesn't mean that you're doomed to them, but it's not the same problem that we get in the Sierras. So they're ignition driven and they're obviously wind driven. But there's nothing unusual. I just interviewed a climate scientist about this, or rather an environmental forest scientist about this. There's nothing unusual about this. I mean, it is somewhat unusual to get, you have a dry period and then the Santa Ana winds in January, but it's not like that never happens. I'm working my way there. So
of course,
ignition. I mean, the important thing to know is that the National Weather Service put out a fire warning on January 2nd, and a local weatherman actually forecasted on January 1st. They said we're headed towards a super dangerous moment. The next day, the National Weather Service Los Angeles held a briefing to underscore that point. The day after that, the mayor flew to Ghana. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
these were public press conferences.
Yeah, these were. It's absolutely public, and it goes to the politicians first, but it's all said public. It's the National Weather Service. So that was like literally on the 1st or 2nd. The governor should have called out the National Guard. He should have called all of our neighboring states. He should have called Canada and Mexico, asked for all their backup help. They should have started circling C-130s that are, especially retrofitted with that can dump the fire retardant or water. They should have had helicopters circling to see where the fires were. It should have been immediate mobilization.
Pardon my ignorance. I didn't, first of all, I didn't see that news when it happened, but I didn't know that. So it was really clear to the people who run the city and the state that you had this combination of dry conditions and heavy winds, high winds.
Yeah. And because there's so many ignitions, because of really these 2 factors, mostly the electrical wires, brushing up against, vegetation and triggering a fire. That's kind of one of the main ones. The other one is homeless people starting fires all over LA. Half of all fires put out by the LA Fire Department are started by homeless people. It's been that way for years.
Why do homeless people start fires?
Well, it turns out meth heads love to start fires. There's just
Bug help back. We've been a lot better on it. A lot better.
Like, you know what? We do need to start having a per stream mistake lit, like minimum. Like only 10 F ups or 5 F ups.
I mean, drunks can start fires, but the meth heads are like into fire. Like it's
This is more.
fire.
No one sees this in theological terms. It's like this.
I know, it's amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
it is amazing.
Yeah. No, it's satanic. I mean, you
Well,
kind of
it
go
seems
totally
that way. I mean,
satanic.
it seems about as obvious as it could be.
Yeah. It's awful. So, but you kind of go, I mean, so first of all, that problem should have been dealt with obviously years ago. It should never have been allowed. So, but that they knew on January 1st, January 2nd, that the fires were coming. Like it was inevitable that there would be fires. Like there was like zero doubt among anybody that knows anything about fire in Los Angeles that the fires were coming. The fires were coming. So the governor should have been there. The mayor should have been there. You should just literally it's all about, and it's all about prevention in part because by the time the fire trucks are having to weave their way up those little hills of the Pacific Palisades, it's over. I mean, so the other thing to keep in mind is that, okay, well, so that's the first thing is that they just have to mobilize in advance.
So that's a feature for people who aren't aware of the geography of LA.
Oh, it's just incredible. I mean, it's why it's so beautiful, right? Beautiful places are dangerous.
Exactly right.
So that's like the main event. So because I knew I did my first thing I did is I was like, look, they're going to come out and say it was inevitable. And that's just a total lie.
Because of global warming.
Yeah, because of global warming. And I mean, anyway, there's so many places to go here, but just on the most practical sense, they knew the fires were coming and they didn't do anything. The mayor leaves the country. She flies to Ghana after having promised not to leave the country, by the way, as mayor. She's traveled at least six times out of the country and she promised not to travel. Why is it important the mayor be there? Because you say, well, aren't there other people in charge? Because it's an emergency command situation. She has to be able to issue orders and to waive regulations and make things happen. The governor has to be doing that. They didn't do that. They should have had, by the way, they should get the fire trucks up into the fire areas right away.
Yeah.
They can also start, they can start clearing brush. They can start, but literally they could just be in those neighborhoods, just sitting there for days at a time, waiting for the fires to happen, put them out as soon as they happen. I'm not saying that they would have been able to prevent all the fires from happening, but you remember the big fire in 1993, I think it was Laguna Beach, or maybe it was Malibu as well, but it was like 700 homes. We're at 10,000, structures at this point, homes and buildings gone, 200,000 people evacuated. I mean, it's like, it's madness. It never needed to get to that level.
Bro.
Okay, so that's the first thing. They just needed to have been there before the fire started, and they didn't do that because the politicians are just They're focused on themselves. They're focused on the next political office they want to get. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the water runs out, right? So that was and then you hear people go, oh, well, there's nothing you can do because like once the homes are burned down, like the water lines, you can see the pictures, the water like will be spilling out, of the homes. And so that lowered the water pressure. That was a total lie. There is something called the Santa Ynez water reservoir, which is the potable water, meaning the drinking water that also goes into the fire hydrant system, because the fire hydrant, the fire hydrant system is the drinking water system. It's the same thing. It's the exact same system.
Really?
That reservoir was empty, and it was the second largest of the.
Well, at least you can go to the fire hydrant and get some drinking water. I mean, your fire hydrant system sends your drinking water system. Ain't that some?
I mean, it's the same water you get from the faucets, no?
Drink spring water, people.
Please,
spring water.
Please.
I mean,
if you care about yourself,
spring water.
God damn, man. Like, get you a lot too. Get you a whole
spring water. Okay, bro. Don't cheap yourself, man.
10 potable water reservoirs that serve LA County. Let me make one distinction here because there's actually two kinds of reservoirs. There's the reservoir with the snowmelt water, these really big lakes, basically. And then there's that's the unpurified water, and then they purify it, and then they feed into these reservoirs where they store the water for all sorts of reasons, for emergencies. So that is an absolute crime, that Santa Ynez reservoir. Why? Because first of all, it's right next to the Pacific Palisades. So for people that don't know, Pacific Palisades, of course, is like right near. It's on your way to Malibu. It's like the last big neighborhood before you get to
and they're Palisades. They're over the water.
That's right. And so they have a reservoir. Like you look at the Google Maps and you look at where the Santa Ynez reservoir is, it's right next to like a few thousand feet from Pacific Palisades, and it's really high up. And so if you had water coming from that, the firefighters would have had plenty of water. They would have had the water pressure, even if you had lost some homes and had the water out. So, I mean, two major failures. The first was the failure to aggressively respond days in advance, even though they had very clear warnings. The second was the reservoir was empty. One reporter has reported that the firefighters had not been warned by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power that reservoir was empty. If that's true, that's just additionally scandalous. But one of the things that we think probably happened is that they had been required to have a cover for the Santa Ynez reservoir, which is the potable water, the cover to prevent the water from being contaminated. In the old days, like the 50s and 60s, birds would poop in those reservoirs, and they would just put a bunch of chlorine in them.
Right.
And then we decided, well, that the water had a lot of, it still was not particularly clean, so we wanted to be cleaner. So you can just put a cover over it, which is a kind of plastic or rubber lining.
Now, I would have to ask them, did that really matter though? Was it going to stop it from doing what water does? Which, if you put it on fire, a decent amount of the time puts it out.
So weak. Shout out Dave Castro, $2. He said,
and I'm not Scum Dave.
He said, I know what started the fires. Them's pants on fire.
Weak. I know what started the fire. Them pants on fire.
The Democrats' pants on fire because of the countless amount of lies they were able to inflame the whole state of, or the whole great area of LA.
AKA everybody in LA right now.
I'm in danger.
But shout out Kill Switch $100. He says, not Scum Dave. I'm so weak, bro. I'm convinced, bro.
Like,
I need both of y'all on the call
at this point, bro.
And bro, both of y'all on the call
because
right
there's
now.
No way your music tastes even the music tastes the same. You can't go,
bro. Down to the responses, down to the actual responses.
It's like you can't hide it. You can't hide this from me.
They've been here too long. We know this, man. Shout out Hellback 12 $5. He said Kill Switch equals Dave. That's what we all say, bro.
God.
Until they both get to a call at the same time, mod access to literally. Take the words from my mouth, bro. Take the words from my mouth.
Those boy double minded. And Dave gonna put up like with 2 wrenches, like, yep.
Try me, motherfucker.
Need to make that repair. You do need to drain right before you do the repair, but you would make that drain. And the people that I interviewed said, look, it would take days, if not a couple of weeks to repair it. It was empty for at least a year. So it was sitting there for a year. And the person I interviewed, who works as a senior executive at a different water utility in California, said if we had any of our reservoirs empty, we would be like super nervous.
All right, I want to entertain it. I want to entertain it. I want to entertain it.
Mr. Killswitch, what's going on?
Yo.
Hey,
Hey.
stop.
Bro, come on. Come on. Come on. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
He's got the voice changer. No way. I think this is what
Bro,
Big
that's
Wave
why.
did. Yeah, I mean,
That's why. That's why.
We got you. We got you. But all right, hold on.
All right. Before the echo kills the chat, bro, that's hilarious.
We all he almost had it.
He said, "Hey."
Oh shit!
The entire time, and you would also then have backup water systems. So it's like
I'm sorry, but that was a
Sensational.
like, bro.
any catastrophe, you just have multiple errors occurring in advance and at the moment. And then the fires, and then the actual ignitions. You can't completely prevent ignitions, but you can significantly reduce them. One would be to not allow people to camp outside all over Los Angeles County with somewhere around, I think it's 40 to 60,000 homeless people in the whole county. Madness. And then the other is the electrical wires that brush up against the vegetation and create fire. With that, you want to clear the vegetation from around the wires. That's obvious. Yeah. And then you can also just stop. I mean, this is a not great solution, but you could certainly do it in a pinch if you need to. You just stop the electricity from going into those homes for some period. I mean, it's a drag. I live in the Berkeley Hills, which is also a dangerous fire zone. And when the winds are really strong, they'll just cut off power as a precaution so that to prevent an ignition. So I think the reason I wanted to come on your show, even though I'm in the midst of a huge book deadline, is because I'm really concerned about this nihilistic discourse that there's literally nothing that could be done. I mean, that is exactly where the politicians want to go. I worry that, ordinary people have that idea. The problem is, it's absurd. I mean, this idea that you couldn't live in Los Angeles, right? And it's like you can say it about anywhere. You'd be like, oh, there's snowfalls in this place during winter, or hurricanes. I mean, we're in an area that's Hurricane Valley, right? I mean, like huge amounts of hurricanes. That's not how humans roll. Like, we're capable of living in many different environments, including with extreme weather conditions. And
it's like really saying I can't stop my kids from dying of tetanus.
Right.
Or starving to death. Or
right.
What, I mean, what?
Yes.
Right.
It's so
There's no
nihilistic.
An agency. No, that's totally
it's so nihilistic. And you trace it back. I mean, the most articulate advocate of that view is a Marxist named Mike Davis, who wrote this book called City of Quartz. It's a crazy nihilistic book, but he had an essay and also a chapter in that book called Let Malibu Burn. I mean, it's classic kind of radical left politics. It's classic sort of envy or sour grapes. I mean, sour grapes goes, I can't remember the parable, but basically it's like some animal wants to eat these grapes, but they're up too high. And then he says,
well, you heard him try to blame it on meth heads and other irresponsibilities of the government. But let's get right back to this Piers Morgan interview and watch them tear into, the LA mayor.
No one wants an unqualified surgeon. But if you keep not.
And shout out, we got let me go ahead and read out these super chats real quick. Man, okay, here we go. And shout out Hellbat. The ocean is a soup. Well, and shout out Hellbat. Voice changing mofo. What you trying to pull here? Kill switch. Your fault. Here we go.
I'm done. What are we in for here?
Hiring qualified black people, we got to do something about it.
Okay, let me bring Gillian in because obviously the LA mayor, Karen Bass, is a black woman. I've got to say, of all the people in officialdom that I've seen since this disaster started, she seems to me to be the most woefully incompetent.
All right, hold on real quick. Yo.
Yo. I actually, that is my voice. I can do that.
Say, hey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
It's like,
yo, Chad, I want everybody to witness what this man Dave just did.
Man, we all thought it was somebody until it was the music.
I know. Yeah, no, I know, I got it. But hey, guess what? Now you're in for some shit. Now I'm gonna start requesting songs. Oh, apparently, if I use my laptop, I can negate that $500 limit. Sucks for you guys.
Oh my goodness.
You guys are not going to sleep tonight. Fair warning.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. You are in fucking danger. Let's go. All right, get back to the show. I'm gonna start requesting shit.
This man Dave takes pride in causing chaos. Shout out Big Wave Dave.
Competent.
Oh man.
One, when it started, there had already been warnings that there may be a big fire issue coming. And she gets on a plane and she goes all the way to Africa to the inauguration of the new president of Ghana. Now, this is someone who the New York Times has established 2 years ago, actually said on the record while campaigning to be mayor, not only would I, of course, live here, but I wouldn't travel internationally. The only places I would go would be DC, Sacramento, San Francisco, and New York in relation to Los Angeles. And yet there she is at the inauguration of an African president while her city's burning. And when she came back, she was jumped by a very good journalist from Sky News here in the UK, David Blevins. And the response was pathetic. Let's take a look.
What response?
Madam Mayor, David Blevins from Sky News in the UK. Where fire chiefs say that they're really stretched to the limit and running out of water. What have you got to say to that?
Nothing.
Have you no response to that? Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning?
Camera, mic in her face, no response to the thousands, the hundreds of thousands of tax-paying citizens
that you let down.
Yo, this is egregious.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Madam Mayor, David Blevins from Sky News in the UK. Where fire chiefs say that they're really stretched to the limit and running out of water. What have you got to say to that? Have you no response to that? Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning?
Nope.
Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars,
Nope.
Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Nope. Nope.
I mean, I'm sorry, Gillian, that was just so pathetic, wasn't it? I mean, she's the mayor of Los Angeles. Say something.
It's absolutely outrageous. And again, I can't speak to the DEI component because I don't really know the history of who they did or didn't hire. I'm currently under the impression that the fire chief wanted more bodies no matter what.
And shout out Big Wave Dave. He said, a day to remember Mr. Highways thinking about the end. Let's go. Gotcha.
Color, what gender, or what sexual orientation. And if I'm wrong about that, please educate me. With that said, Karen Bass is incompetent. I don't care if it's because she's a woman of color. She's just flat out incompetent. When your fire chief writes you a letter in December of 2024, after all of Northern Malibu has just burned down again, and says, do not cut my budget, it will be a catastrophe. You don't cut the budget. I'm absolutely outraged and disgusted. It is gross negligence, period. And then you have nothing to say when you're questioned about it. What are you doing in Ghana? You are a local, you're a mayor. You're not an ambassador.
That's
You don't work
ridiculous.
for the federal government. What is going on?
Yeah,
I mean, we
ridiculous.
could point to so many of these things. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think she's been completely incompetent and exposed as incompetent. In fact, all her public utterances make me cringe. Let me bring Michael back in here.
Completely.
I mean, I want to play a clip, Michael. This is from the department chief, Kristen Crowley, who, as things stand, to me, sounds the most credible of all of them when she speaks. Let's take a listen.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
Yes.
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community. Did they fail you? That is our job. And I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs. Did they fail you? Yes.
I mean, she couldn't be clearer there, and I believe her. You know, I mean, no one has actually refuted what she said. And she's
like, yes, they failed her, like epically failed. Like yeah, the mayor took out millions of dollars out of the fire department, and she had to work with very little she had. And at the end of the day, she had to sit there and be like, yeah, I mean, she did fail me. When you take $17.5 million away, and I can't hire extra volunteers, pay these people more, or get better trucks or whatever. Yeah, you kind of are to blame for that.
Not only did she fail her, but she set her up for failure to do her damn job. Like,
man, and then fired her though,
scapegoated her.
Wild,
completely shameful.
But let's go ahead and get into this musical interlude real quick, man. Shout out Big Wave Dave.
Let's do it. We're gonna try and break it up some,
or AKA Kill Switch on this.
Oh man,
it's Kill Switch. All right.
Wake up!
All right. And just giving it a quick pause, man. Obviously, to break it up to avoid a interruption. But hopefully, you guys are enjoying the show, the musical intermissions. And if so, drop a like, double tap the screen, or you hit the 3 buttons in the upper right hand corner. Shout out Big Wave Dave for this one.
Show will continue right after.
You guys are enjoying the song so far. The day to remember, Mr. Highways, thinking about the end. Shout out Kill Switch, man. It's pretty fire so far.
AKA Big Wave Dave, AKA Kill Switch.
Man, let's go back.
Y'all say it both ways.
Middle school vibes. I ain't gonna lie, I definitely went through a screamo, emo, whatever you want to call it, phase around that. I'm getting a strange look from Set right now. But yeah, around 5th grade, I definitely had a screamo, emo stage where I used to like these bands. I ain't gonna lie.
It was always kids who listened to that stuff like you that were the school shooters.
I'm so weak.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to line you up for that one.
Listen. I had white homies. It was all the rage back then. So come on,
the
man.
School shooter white homies.
That was pretty smooth. I did used to, like I said, bro. Nice little phase when emo and screamo was a thing. Missed them days. Good old days, man. Come on, Sid. You had to be there. You had to be there.
I guess I just wasn't tapped in at the time, but hey, though, I'm tapped in now. Whoops.
Yeah.
That happened. Gotcha. Yeah, that do be happening.
Let's go.
Woefully incompetent. I promise I'm going to use that, bro. I'm going to use that on something.
Unlawfully at large.
So, Michael, I'm doing the maths with my old journalism hat on, and it's coming up pretty well for her and pretty badly for the elected officials.
Like,
that's absolutely right. I think she's been amazing during this crisis. I think that she's been honest with the residents of LA. I think that we really trust our fire chief here after all of the appearances she's made. And as it relates to the debate about,
he looks like he's from LA. I ain't even gonna lie.
He looks like a hipster with the glasses.
Yeah,
open shirt.
Yeah, he got the hipster starter pack right going for him.
All that. He's probably a whopping 29 years old.
Man,
DEI. I agree with you, Piers. I don't care.
He said, shout out Kills. We said the splatter becomes before you actually hear it. Teehee.
What color she is, what gender she is. The fact that she's a woman doesn't matter to me. She's doing an incredible job.
Right.
And the fact that she's
Context,
being
that's a crazy
called a
statement.
DEI hire actually pretty frustrating, and the fact that that's what some people in the media are using to spin it, because she was in the fire department for 22 years. She's incredibly qualified. She's clearly really good at PR, and I think she's really good at her job. So
I don't think she's a
debate-
DEI hire. I've got to say, Karen Bass.
People are saying that.
Karen
I've
Bass,
seen-
though, is a different matter. She smacks to me of a DEI appointment in the
That's
sense
ridiculous.
of how the hell did someone like that?
She was democratically elected.
Fine,
Kish.
I know.
How does a democratically elected?
I know.
How
I'm
was
just-
a democratically elected mayor a DEI hire?
Let me tell
Please
you how
explain
that
to me.
happens in Los Angeles. Because until this fire, actually, and this may change everything for the political dynamic of Los Angeles. If you live in LA, as much as I have for the last 20 years, you are living in woke central. You're living in a place where a large number of the electorate literally would vote for people because of their skin color and because of their gender. We've already, just from that thing I read out, established she's an absolute liar when it comes to what she promised in her campaigning and what she then did as mayor in terms of getting on the first plane that came along to Ghana when she said she wouldn't leave America. So to me, the DEI thing runs endemically through some of these places.
Like I said, they ain't do it for the people, they did it for the paycheck. She wasn't thinking about for the people, she was thinking about for the paper, for them dollar bills.
As I like to say, profit over people.
I mean, shoot, man, it's crazy because it's like, hold on. You think she'd help the people, but instead you went off to Africa to have yourself a good time, huh? That wasn't cheap.
Man, a little African tour instead of addressing issues. Let's be nice.
LA has become a woke.
What makes a DEI?
No, I'm telling you.
I'm gonna be very clear. That
You're
is
not
patently
understanding.
racist.
Let me be very clear to you first. What I'm saying is there are large
You're
numbers
calling
of,
someone who is
Hang on, let me
democratically
finish.
elected a DEI
Let me
hire.
finish. I'm telling you what I mean by that. She won as a democratically elected person. That is true. She's the mayor. However, I think a lot of people voted for her because she was a black woman, not because she's any good at her job. That's an LA woke problem.
Do you have any evidence of that?
Yeah. Look how incompetent she is.
How many black people have been mayor of LA? You say it's been decades of wokeness and skin color voting. How many black
I think
mayors
it's been
have there
getting
been in the
worse
history of LA?
and worse and worse.
How
in
many
Los
black
Angeles.
mayors have there been in the
I'm just
history of
telling
LA,
you,
Piers?
I'm telling you, in her case, I believe she is woefully incompetent, should never have got the job, and people voted for her because in their head, all they're getting told all day long in places like
What
Los Angeles
qualification did
is
she-
DEI,
what qualification
DEI,
to be-
DEI.
What
That's all they hear
what
about.
qualification was she? What qualification was she lacking to be mayor?
Have you?
Let's be real. Competence. Let's be. I don't know. A need to want to help the people. Let's be real, because going out like the insurance companies told her that LA is in danger of a wildfire. Fire department pretty much told her that we're already short-handed and you're taking 17 mil away from us. But then all of a sudden, she's off in Africa having fun with most likely taxpayer money. I mean, her salary is taxpayer funded. Who knows what she's taking off the top? And then she comes back, realizes her mistake and has nothing to say for it. I mean, shoot, she don't work for the people, obviously. It got to be for the money.
Watched her
So she was
pronouncements?
unqualified. What?
Have you watched her pronouncements?
I've watched her for 12 years in Congress. I've watched her advance.
Oh, and shout out Kill Switch, aka Big Wave Dave, aka Kill Switch, Tool, Eulogy. Got you.
Legislation.
She's
I've watched
utterly
her have
useless.
political experience prior to joining the U.S.
She's
Congress and being
utterly
a standing member
useless.
of Congress.
If I could
She's
cut in here.
qualified. You may not like.
No, I think she's incompetent. It's worse than that. I don't care if I like her or
political
not.
credentials. Her political credentials are pretty strong. I think that her reaction to this crisis has been really bad, and this is the first time a lot of the world is seeing Karen Bass, unfortunately, and it's not good for her.
I agree.
But she was democratically
but
elected.
that doesn't
and
make
we
her
had
a
decision-
DEI hire.
No, I'm
We had
talking
a-
about. I'm
I
talking about
apologize.
a
There's a
culture.
delay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
What I'm talking about, and Michael, I'll put this to you. It just seems to me, I have noticed in LA, it's been getting woker and woker and woker and woker. Right from the top of the political sphere, right the way down. It's tangible. You feel it. You have a lot of people there that buy into this woke crap, right? And I just think that it's been insidious to every society where this has happened, anywhere in the world. But LA is like the epicenter of this crap, and I think it's come back to haunt them.
I'll get to that in a second. When it comes to the election of the mayor, we had a decision between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso, who's a billionaire real estate developer. I think that the people of LA made a decision that they wanted a career politician who, sure, is a Black woman, but I don't think that's why she got the votes. I think she got the votes because she seemed like the more qualified, well-credentialed candidate compared to a billionaire who's felt very out of touch with the typical working class person in Los Angeles. I think that's why Karen Bass won the election. When it comes to the culture of DEI in Los Angeles, I think a lot of people love to paint Los Angeles the way that they see it. They love to paint the culture of California in a certain way. I don't feel like I'm living in a DEI city. It doesn't feel, it doesn't feel that way. I think that diversity is important to people in Los Angeles. It's one of the most diverse cities in the entire world, and we are proud of that. But that doesn't mean
nothing wrong with being proud of diversity.
Because of the color of their
Listen,
skin.
I'm as proud of diversity as you are, and Mark is, everybody else is.
I like diversity, but I don't like this whole DEI thing when you lower the standards. I mean, I thought diversity was everybody was upheld to the same standard. We just got different colored people up in here, different cultures. Fantastic. I love that. Not all right. Some people, we got one race of people that have to meet the standard, and the other race of people can fall below it. I mean, what is that?
Nothing wrong with being.
I thought we got rid of affirmative action. Nope, we just replace it with DEI.
Proud of diversity.
I don't think you are.
No, well, actually, I am. But what I believe in,
I disagree.
What I believe in everything is that meritocracy should trump mediocrity and should trump woke box ticking. That's what I believe. I believe that.
But you're arguing that somehow she didn't have merit.
I'm arguing that
she was more qualified than her opponent.
I'm arguing
a black person can do a bad job, and that's fine. Criticize them for doing a bad. Gavin Newsom's doing a bad job, but no one is addressing his race. He just did a bad job. Karen Bass is doing a bad job, you say, then criticize her for that. But every time a black person does a bad job, if you call them a DEI hire, that becomes nothing more than a dog whistle and a racist slur.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about everybody.
She was hired. She was elected because she was qualified and because the voters wanted her.
But she was elected. But Mark, you're missing my point. You're missing my point. It's not because
I'm not missing your point. I'm disagreeing with your point.
That's fine, and you're perfectly entitled to disagree with it. But don't.
I mean, that's a good point, though. It's like, well, you can't really call the mayor a DI hire because she was elected. She was elected into this position over whatever. So if anything, you gotta blame the people of LA. It's like, all right, well, what were you doing electing a mayor like this who goes off to Africa while your home's burned? Like, come on now. Now at this point, now we got to put it on the people. This is where we always say here at S.E.T, you got to vote locally and make sure that your local politicians hold your interest. Because if you don't, you end up with situations like this. Because I'm pretty sure the people in LA would have loved to know that, yo, what you mean? You're going on vacation? And there's a wildfires going on? Oh, no, if you don't stay your ass here, no, we're not doing that. Actually, what were you doing in vacation in the first place? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, LA is already a city, like, going up in crime, drug use, gang violence. I mean, come on now. What are you doing on vacation? You didn't earn a vacation. The way LA is, you did not earn no vacation.
Start talking about dog whistles because it's entirely down to
her. It's a dog whistle.
No, it's entirely down to her incompetence. And I'm telling you, there are lots of people in LA, when confronted with a billionaire candidate or her, we're going to vote for her because of the color of her skin or her gender. I'm telling you, that's what LA's like.
Or because he's a billionaire and we don't.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that all around the country, people vote for Donald Trump and other people because they're white men. Identity politics plays.
And you would be the first to say that's wrong.
The point here is not that.
You would be the first.
That whenever a black person gets criticized, calling them a DEI hire is questioning their competence, not their performance, but their fundamental qualification for the job. She was qualified for the job. She just hasn't done a good job. That's fine, but that doesn't make her a DEI hire. Ben Carson was wholly unqualified to be the head of HUD, right? But no one called him a DEI hire. Why? Because he was on the right. Whether you think he did a good job or bad job, he wasn't qualified. But every time he makes a mistake, I wouldn't call.
Dave, that's the one thing I cannot follow you on. Done. He's like, can we remove Fox from mod? No, I'm sorry, we can't. We need Fox Shakes. We need him.
Call him a DEI hire, even though he had no qualifications.
But what we can do, Big Wave Dave, is go ahead and fast forward to your video. right, get right back to it,
bro. I like Tool. I'm not afraid to admit it. I like Tool. Fuck you said.
You don't let Big Wave Dave get to you, man. Right. After this, we'll play nothing but trap music.
Did we get this one? Shout out Big Wave Dave, $5. People taking jokes as serious these days. Don't be a buster.
The shout out to you. Now, hear us though, or now? No. Really? Huh. Interesting. No sound, they said. They said no sound. Well, I got one thing. There's only one thing to do. Not only do I have to take it out the game, but let's go restart that up.
All right, appreciate you guys letting us know. We're gonna work on that right now.
Forget about climate change. Forget about
None of the priority of any meritocracy. They genuinely believe that.
That's not what
and
anyone has ever argued.
At that point,
Piers,
society starts to fragment.
Piers, that's not true. What I'm saying is,
it's true.
DEI initiatives begin from the premise that people who are qualified are being left and locked out of the room.
I know the premise.
When we advocate for people,
I know the premise, Mark.
No, but that's not.
Yeah, but hang on.
I understand
the
you.
Premise
you
of
say
being
you know the premise for what you just did to the.
You're missing the point. The premise
what you
of
just
being
did to the audience was make it seem as if they weren't operating from that assumption.
the premise of being woke, right, was originally that you would raise awareness to social and racial injustice. I agree with that. By that criteria, I'm woke. That is not what woke became. Woke became a form of censorious virtue signaling fascism. And what we're seeing now is the very rapid, actually, disintegration of wokeism because people have woken up to it. And what I hope is that people like the people of Los Angeles who've seen their city getting ravaged by this crap, wake up, smell the cappuccino, and vote according to reality and not to what they think they should be doing based on things like.
Forget about climate change. Forget about unchecked capitalism.
All those things are important.
Because they'll burn your city
Let me bring
down.
in Jillian, who's been shaking her head. Jillian?
Well, here's the reason I think in particular people are targeting this issue. There are two quantifiable moments that are pretty outrageous. So the first one is, I believe it was Kristen Larson who said, hey, you're worried about me pulling your husband out of a fire. Well, then he got himself in the wrong place. She should have been swiftly fired for that statement.
Yeah.
Regardless of her color or her gender.
Yeah.
That was an outrageous thing to say. I don't care if she was a white man. If a white man said something like, well, your wife got herself into the wrong place, we would all be outraged. She should have been fired. And now we have to ask ourselves why she wasn't fired. And then the next thing is the lady, I think her name is Janice Quinones, who was in charge of making sure that reservoir on the Palisades was full, was caught in an interview saying that her top priority was DEI.
Yeah.
Legitimately verbatim a quote. And I think that is exactly what Piers is talking about. I can't speak to Karen Bass or
It's a
how qualified
mindset.
she was or she wasn't because I'm no longer a California resident. So I didn't vote for her. I didn't do my homework on her. And I do agree that regardless of DEI, she's doing a crap job. And regardless of Republican or Democrat, Newsom sucks. He is the worst and he has been the worst forever since 2018 when he got the job in 2019 and how he's run the state since then. He sucks. But there are two very
man, am I right?
clear examples of what Piers is speaking about.
Yeah. Marlo, this.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When it comes to Democratic governors, Gavin Newsom's a laughing stock,
bro.
And it's crazy how he runs the most. Let's be real, the most wealthiest state we got.
Yeah, just about. GDP was
the most wealthiest states ran by the worst performing governor.
Yeah, GDP was just about on top of all 50 states. But I mean, thanks to Gavin Newsom, didn't it like half?
Yeah, bro, went from 500 billion to 250 billion.
Like, bro, what the hell? And he still has.
I want to play a clip of Gavin Newsom who keeps smirking. I just don't understand why he keeps smirking. Let's take a look.
We're in this emergency environment.
Smirking. Look.
And everything else. So I just want to determine the facts, but no one has any patience anymore. In this weaponized, back to the grievance of Trump, everyone else, people, there's immediacy and lies travel the proverbial world. And it's hard to get the facts out there unless you have the backing of those facts and you can communicate them soberly. And so that's what we're trying to achieve as relates to this, but I have 10 other things we're doing concurrently as well. I mean, across the board on recovery, on disaster assistance, getting the major disaster declaration. It may be the first one in U.S. history over a text with the White House within literally 36 hours.
And every appearance he's made, Amala, he can't stop this little supercilious smug smirk. So what are you being smug about?
Your city's burning.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure what's
Major
actually
city's
going on
burning.
there. And I have seen him smirking in other interviews where he's talking about reimagining LA and the plan that he already has for the city. So we'll see what that actually looks like. And quickly, to the point of DEI, for Mark and Michael, we don't have to call them DEI hires. They call themselves DEI hires. When we got this fire chief rolled out, she wasn't rolled out as a woman with 22 years experience as a firefighter and an engineer. She was rolled out as a woman who's lesbian. The very same for the assistant fire chief who says she won't pull a man out of a fire. The very same for Quinones, who Jillian was just speaking about. We don't have to call them diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. They will do that themselves.
Yeah, and I think, Amala, the point I was trying to make to Mark, where I'm not quite sure he grasped what I was getting at, is that large swathes of the electorate in LA.
I mean, when they admit to lowering the standard, it is what it is.
That shit is insane.
I remember we was watching a military documentary on, the training of the military does. And they were saying the plague of obesity has even reached the military.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell are you coming into the military fat?
But we should have the highest standards. You're telling me the standards are being lowered so motherfuckers can skate by?
Yeah, because there's too much. Look, bro, there's more obese people. There's more people out of shape than in shape. Let's just say that.
That's a sad reality.
I think have been contaminated by this woke virus. And they start to think that DEI has to be the be-all and end-all of everything. And they start to vote accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are seeing a culture that's been created in this city where we're pushing forward these initiatives. If I took 1,000 California residents and I showed them a photo of a white man and a black woman with giving them no qualifications, no idea about their education, and no idea about the job that they'd be going into, they would pick the black woman. Let's be honest about where the culture has been set in this city and look around to see that the city is also on fire.
Okay, let me bring Michael.
Can I just say one?
Yeah.
It just might be worth knowing that for the last 3 decades, there have literally been hundreds of scientific studies that have done the very thing you're talking about, usually through resumes. And what the evidence shows, what the scientific data from conservatives, Republicans, black, white, independent, political, apolitical, whatever, have all said the exact opposite of what you said.
He said, someone said something about acid, song sending music suggestion, Discord. I think that was Fox Chase. Shout out Big Wave Dave, though. $10.
There's literally not been one empirical study in which the person has chosen a black person over a white person systematically. Also, when the names are blocked and
you don't think a single person, hang on, you don't think a single person in Los Angeles has ever voted for somebody based on skin color? Are you being funny?
That is a Bikram yoga stretch. There's nothing of what I just said is what you just said.
Yeah, you did.
I just said, I was talking about employer hiring, and you just flipped it and made it seem as if I said no one in LA has ever voted on the basis of race. Everybody votes on the basis of race. Well, not literally everybody. Every country, every state,
so you
every
agree
city
with
has
me then?
people who vote on the basis of race. I guarantee you, old white men in Mississippi voted on the basis of race, and I don't think they voted for Kamala. Black men in New York or black women in New York voted for president on the basis of race, and they didn't vote for Trump. People vote on the basis of race all the time.
So you
I am not disputing it. That is not my point.
Okay.
The point is that
So you accept that Karen Bass could have got a lot of votes based on her skin color? So you accept my premise that Karen Bass in Los Angeles could have got a lot of votes from people based on her skin color because they bought into the whole DEI argument.
No, that's not what I just said.
It is.
I said that everybody does it. The difference is
so you agree
only
with me?
seem to think that black people. No, let me finish the sentence. Let me finish the sentence so we're clear. You seem to only think that black people voting on the basis of race or brown people voting on the basis of race.
No,
I'm saying
I
black,
said she
white,
got
red, yellow,
her job,
Democrat,
in my
Republican,
opinion.
They all.
No, I'm saying
you have no evidence for your.
And shout out Chuck Berry in the Discord. Comedy song, old school.
All right, shout out Dan Castro, $5. Let's go.
You just said everybody
no
votes
evidence
according
for
to
us.
race, which is also bullshit, by the way. They don't all vote according to race. But the
That's
point,
not-
but
did
you've
you hear
actually,
the point?
without
Then why I said
realizing
not literally
it,
everybody,
but
but people
Mark,
across all.
without realizing it, you've confirmed my thesis, right? Because you've basically agreed that there are large numbers of people in Los Angeles who probably voted for Karen Bass because of her skin color. And now she's turned out to be useless.
I want you to hear. I want you to try to attempt to hear what I'm saying. First, I want you to allow for the possibility that I could completely comprehend what you're saying and just disagree. And second, I want you to allow for the possibility that
I'll allow for that possibility.
You may see this differently. Thank you. This is what I'm saying. Your premise is Karen Bass was elected partially, at least, because the people who voted for her on the basis of race. And you're saying that I have affirmed that thesis through my statement. What I'm saying as my rejoinder is, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is both candidates and all candidates get votes on the basis of race. A billionaire white man also gets votes on the basis of race. And I am not suggesting, and contrary to what you just suggested, that that the number of votes for her by virtue of race are any more than the votes for him by virtue of race. I never said that, and I don't believe that. So at least, even if you disagree with me, you can at least acknowledge on national television that I did not affirm your thesis. If you comprehend, I didn't affirm your thesis.
I think we're edging towards a greater comprehension of each other's positions, because the point I'm making is that
I always comprehend it.
Okay, but the point I'm making is that DEI has become such a massive thing in somewhere like LA that inevitably is spilled over to the electorate when they vote for elected officials. And I think that's what happened with Karen Bass, who has now exposed herself to the world as being utterly useless. That's my point. Let me bring Michael back in. On Gavin Newsom, look, he's a slick operator, no question. He's the kind of guy that if you were building a politician, he'd look and sound like Gavin Newsom, or Barack Obama. They look the part, they sound the part, they're articulate, whatever. I think he's getting...
Now that I think about it, Gavin Newsom and Obama were both head of very states are kind of going down the
down the drain, down the shitter.
And what was it? Obama had Illinois,
and we
Chicago.
all know about Chicago.
You're telling me Gavin Newsom had Cali and
they got
LA.
They got a few bad cities.
They got a few bad cities, but Chicago had. Obama had Chicago. Look how he let that slip through his hands.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. We never brought up none of this governing work.
It's kind of crazy how he had a resume like that and was able to run for president and win.
I mean, hey, bro, I guess we need to slide off the yes we can, then yes you can.
You found out here. I think there's a supercilious smuggery about him, and particularly when he was asked about Trump going after him about reservoirs, and he started saying, there's nothing wrong with any of the reservoirs. And they said, well, literally one of the biggest reservoirs, the biggest near Pacific Palisades, was not working. Let's take a look at that.
The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
Now, he was squirming and tap dancing around there, Michael, but I mean, to me, he got caught out.
Yeah, I think he did get called out there because one of the reservoirs was empty and it shouldn't have been empty, and it was empty because it fixed to the cover that should have taken a week ended up taking more than a year and costing way too much. And this is an issue with, I think, the way that we spend money and the way that we manage projects in the state, and that needs to get fixed. But I'm glad that's the focus, because there's so many other things being brought into this conversation that I think are distractions. I think, the fact we're debating whether Karen Bass got elected because she's a Black woman is frustrating. I think Gavin Newsom is reasonably frustrated about the smelt and the way that Donald Trump tried to blame the water shortage in California on this like endangered species, which is not correct. I think that what we should be talking about is, why wasn't the reservoir full? Reservoir full. Thank you. That's hard to say. Why weren't we ready for this fire? And how do we hold our government officials accountable? Regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, I don't care, right? Like how do we get better at this? And I think that is a question that we really ought to be talking more about. And I appreciate Jillian for bringing up at the beginning of this conversation the fact that we should be doing controlled burns, the fact that we should be doing brush clearance, the fact that we should be hardening our structures so that wildfires don't spread so quickly in this city, where wildfires are endemic and they are going to happen again.
But here's the point I'd make to you, Michael. Here's the point I'd make back, is that I don't think you can divorce the two things. I don't think you can divorce the politicking that's gone on in the election of certain officials and the incompetence we now see laid bare. You can't divorce that from that, because ultimately these decisions get taken by elected officials.
Yeah, but just when it comes down to the leadership in general, there was a lot of things, a lot of decisions that they could have made that could have mitigated the ultimate brunt, the ultimate destructive decision, the destructive path that we've seen this fire take. Like a lot of decisions that they just didn't make, or they made the wrong decision on, it's kind of in the situation that it leaves us in the situation we are in. And I feel bad for the LA residents, honestly. Like, you ask where to point the finger of blame, bro, you got to point it to your city's leaders and your state leaders.
And then point it to yourself for voting for them. Man, that's tough. I know, right?
It's all interwoven. You need very, very good people to run a city like Los Angeles. You don't need someone like Karen Bass, in my opinion, as an Angelino half the time.
Well, Gavin Newsom is white and privileged as it gets. He certainly wasn't a DEI hire, and he's the tip of the spear here. And he is responsible for so much of this catastrophe. I could point to specific bills in California that passed the entire state's legislature to manage forestry that he personally vetoed and said, well, I'm worried about the ongoing cost. Well,
it's like, shout out, YouTube claimed that Live Black guy, what the fuck, he's blind. And shout out Castro, my man said, make all candidates wear a green man suit until after the election. I'm weak as hell. He's like, yeah, we should know their race or nothing. We should just hear their voice alone. There you go, problem solved. Shout out. And well, it's a big wave day. Not really. Honestly, he's kind of one of the liberal college elites. And he's very well respected in the Black community. I'll tell you that. It's almost like a Dr. Umar Johnson.
How much is this going to cost?
Except he actually teaches a class.
To fix the state. You're going to pass it on to the taxpayers across the country. I mean, we know for a fact that fire breaks work. And I'll give you a perfect example, because the fire stopped in northern Malibu where it had already burned. That's why you do controlled burns. We know that it works. It just worked in these conditions where it already burned. And there are so many different issues with how water is mismanaged. Why haven't we built any of those new reservoirs that were commissioned in 2014 under Proposition 1? Not one of those reservoirs is complete. And you can point to all of this red tape, but now he says, I'm going to I'm going to cut through all of this red tape and make sure all this stuff gets done. Well, why haven't you previously? This is not this guy's first rodeo. We have a fire every single year.
Trust me, Dave, me too, because they think they're the most educated, but really they're the most ignorant. Trust me, I do too. It's like a complete pseudo-intellectual narcissism. That's the whole class, and that's it. That's all they comprised of, but they're the most heard and outspoken. It's wild, but it is what it is.
And the one where I lost my home in 2018 was catastrophic. And let me say one more thing about that, just to really shine a light on this guy's negligence. PG&E was responsible for.
And Dave, the song's an hour long. You know that, right?
For that fire. This is a privately owned utility company that had equipment on power lines that was 100 years old. They donated to his gubernatorial campaign in 2018. When he was elected in 2019, he facilitated their ability to walk away scot-free. I cannot tell you how many people died, how many people lost their homes. No infrastructure has been updated. I could go on and on and on about this guy, and he isn't a DEI hire. So I can kind of play both sides of this argument. And this is where I kind of defer back to, let's look at what the hell needs to change, period.
Yeah, I mean, Amala, there's a clip of Donald Trump appearing with Newsom.
I'm sorry. He's like, who said yesterday what state do controlled burns? I live in commie, New Jersey, and they do controlled burns. How hard is it? Not hard at all. I mean, like, bro, we're in Ohio, and I'm pretty sure they do controlled burns. Actually, like, let's be real. Our forests, the people who run our forests, they take pride in how well they run our stuff. You go into our national park, you go into our trails and, our wooded lands, beautiful, beautiful.
From 2018 in a California forest. Let's take a look at this.
President of Finland, and he said we have a much different world.
Okay, man, appreciate you, Big Way Dave. He says, okay, sorry, I'll find something else to play. Yeah, shoot, yeah, I thought you was gonna give me a timestamp on it, but yeah, just go ahead and let me know when you put it in the Discord. I'll be on the lookout.
For Forest Nation, he called it a forest nation, and they spent a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things. And
shout out my man Hellbat. You can tell a leftist from one sentence. The study shows. Oh my God. Oh, okay. You can tell a leftist from one sentence. The study shows what you are saying is not true. Never gets old. It never gives old. It never gives scores. You know what? Hold on, bro. I'm not sure if I'm correcting you on that, or is that how you actually wrote it, Hellbat? But he said the study shows what you are saying are not true. Never give scores. Scorches. Why not?
They don't have any problem, and when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that to that end, and it's going to work out.
Wow.
I mean, he was right, wasn't he, Amala?
Yeah, it seems like Donald Trump has been right on several occasions in looking at California and specifically Los Angeles and sort of predicting what was going to happen here. And what's devastating is that we can find so much evidence of people predicting this exact thing taking place. And yet it seems as though nothing was done. I got the opportunity to go into the Palisades to see what has happened on the other end of these fires. It is absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
But what's important is that our communities have really come together. I mean, first responders, shout out to every single one of you that has shown up to fight these fires. And the community members, the people who are living in these houses, who stayed to fight and to keep their property and to help others around them. It seems as though our regular citizens and our first responders, people who we would consider lower on the rungs of leadership, have really done better than anybody else in this city. Yeah. And yeah, as we saw in that clip, the fact that we could have seen this coming and we knew exactly what to do to prevent the devastation that we've seen is just harrowing.
Yeah. Mark, a couple of issues, obviously, which are slightly detached from this, but are going to come into play. One is the talk about things like the Oscars, the Olympics in LA and so on, huge events where LA would be the center of global attention. Some people thinking the Oscars should be put off now, that maybe the Olympics might be jarring with people spending all that money on a huge event like that. I've got to say, I don't agree with that. I think that actually it's a great chance for LA to show its back on its feet and do what they do best. But what do you think?
I think the Olympics is such a big haul. It's so lucrative. It's such a big stage. It's such a big spectacle, and it's so unwieldy. I can't imagine relocating it easily. And I think to your point, if it certainly helps a narrative from a state branding, even national branding perspective, it makes a lot of sense for them. The Oscars, you know, I could live with seeing the Oscars in New York. I could live with seeing the Oscars somewhere else once or twice in terms of for the rebuilding of it all. We certainly had to make adjustments during COVID in that way. So I think that's a far more likely switch and a far more manageable switch.
All right, and then now they're about to get into, did climate change play a role? And I ain't gonna lie, bro. Oh God, bro. Every time you bring up the scam of climate change, yes, I do. Damn, it's a lie. Like when you ask me, do I think it's real? But you know, that's for another conversation. Well, let's go ahead and get into our man Castro's music suggestions. Shout out. I mean, who'da knew? Who'da knew? Hold on, no, let's not. Yeah, shout out to Castro. Well. And let's keep it going.
But at the end of the day, the last thing I just wanted to say was, again, I think the powerful, the people who benefit the most from environmental abuse, from the negligence that we've seen from the top down, all the people who benefit from us continue to drill, baby drill, as the incoming president is saying, and as we continue to cook the earth, all of these people want us pointing our fingers at each other. They want us focusing on who's what color, who's this, who's that. Because as long as we're distracted by the identity politics, they can continue to exploit us, extract from the land, and make money hand over fist while the vulnerable get more and more precarious.
Interesting point. Michael, I want to end on just with climate change quickly, because a lot of debate about whether climate change has played a factor here. I mean, I only know that LA has gone through a lot of periods in its existence. We have very dry periods, then very wet periods, but almost uniquely, in the last 3 years, it had 2 very wet winters. And then this year, it was quite wet and then suddenly incredibly dry. And the theory is that this has led to a lot of extra vegetation, then getting very, very dry, and that acting like a gigantic reinforced tinderbox when this fire came with the Santa Anas. How much of that do you think is connected directly to climate change?
I think that's the direct result of climate change. What climate change does is it makes weather patterns more extreme. So I'm glad you mentioned last winter, because last winter we had an incredible amount of rain. It was actually, we had a hurricane last year. It was the first time I've ever seen a hurricane in LA, and I've been here my entire life. And then we had 8 months of drought following that in a torrential downpour and a hurricane. We had 8 months of drought. So these extremities are being caused by a warming climate that is getting warmer. 2024 was the hottest year on record in human history. So there's no doubt that the drought and the hurricane were both the result of changing weather patterns due to climate change. And what that means is that the weather is getting more extreme, which means that the fact that we have a city in a wildfire zone is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, right? Because this was always going to be a problem, but now it's becoming an emergency level problem. And if we don't get better at preventing wildfires and dealing with them when they happen, this type of thing is going to continue to happen. And it's a huge tragedy now. My heart goes out to everyone who's been affected, but I think it's the responsibility of the residents and especially the officials here in LA to prevent.
Oh, shout out Hellbat. He says, $5, Hell to the Knot by Bishop Bullwinkle. If you haven't heard it, that's a crime. I haven't heard it. I guess you got to arrest me. All right, we'll go ahead and put that one up next.
This from being so bad ever again. But the climate change is going to make that an uphill battle.
And finally, Mark, I wanted to ask you one thing about something you said on your YouTube channel. That you said that you raised the idea, the concept that potentially would there have been this kind of global attention on these fires if it wasn't affecting rich white people disproportionately?
Hey, Fox,
would it be the same if the fires were ravishing the hood, as you put it? I mean, you got a bit of blowback on that. Do you still think that's a theory you want to put out there?
Not this.
Well, this is the first blowback I've gotten is right here with you, so I appreciate it. But
do you think you're living in an echo chamber?
Maybe right now I'm literally in an echo chamber. But I love talking to you, and I think that this country has a different response to poor people, black or white, than they do rich people. We simply respond differently. Our response to Katrina versus the response to those fires.
But if 12,000 homes had if 12,000 homes had burned down in South Central LA, for example, there would have still been enormous attention to it. I don't think people would have cared what color the people were who lived there. or how impoverished it may be in parts of that.
Again, your powers of psychological interpretation are stunning. I mean, you're always saying what other people would care about. I tend to go by data and things like that. No, I go by research studies and data because I feel like science is a better indicator than our journalistic instincts or vibes. And so when you look at national opinion polls, you look at people's responses to, say, Hurricane Katrina, for example, you see that many people actually didn't have the same empathy and sympathy levels. You even had people like Barbara Bush who said, oh, this worked out just fine for them. People who got dislocated and moved to Houston permanently. I mean, it's just not true to say that we deal with poor people tragedies with the same way we do rich people tragedies. There's no historical precedent where that has ever been the truth. No one has ever said, whoa, they're poor, they'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work that way.
Amala, do you want to just respond to that?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Jillian, you want to say something?
Jillian, you go.
No, you go. You please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I will say, I guess, like on some small scale, I can grant exactly what Mark is saying. If we looked at a celebrity house setting on fire and then compared that to a normal middle class or lower class person, of course, the built-in audience and the built-in interest, I think, is going to really expand the view of what's happening. And we can see that play out in the Palisades and the Eaton fire. But I think without any doubt, this has been the largest, wildfire in all of LA history. And this was going to get the press that it's gotten regardless. But I can't say that, we don't have certain people who care more about the rich and famous than they do the lower income and the middle class.
Okay, Jillian, funny you.
Okay. I actually don't really care to watch celebrities' homes burn. And I know this is a terrible thing to say, and I feel very bad for celebrities who've lost their homes. I lost my home in 2018, and you know what? I was fine because I was well insured. I lost some family heirlooms. It was sad. It was, it was very inconvenient. I was fine. The reason this is actually so upsetting is because there are many people who are poor and many people in Altadena. That's a very diverse community, actually. And those are the people that should be getting the press because these are the people whose lives are going to be financially destroyed. I know one person who...
And you know what's funny about that point she's making is when the initial fires broke out at Palisade, I believe the area is called, it's a very affluent. I actually looked it up on Google Maps. I've never seen Google Maps define an area as affluent. But if you look up Palisades on Google Maps, it literally defines it as an affluent area sandwiched between LA and whatever other sub-cities they have out there. So, will the residents of Palisade who are higher net worth individuals recover? Will they be all right? Yes. But she's actually expounding on a good point right here. As these fires spread, as the 70 miles per hour Hurricane 4 winds continue to exacerbate the situation, it's actually now people who are of marginalized communities that are going to be affected. And these are the true victims here. Not the millionaires and the billionaires of the Palisades, but the lower income people who are probably most likely going to lose homes, possessions. Some people, unfortunately, might lose their lives because of these fires that Gavin Newsom and the Brass of California haven't been able to corral.
Well. Doesn't make a ton of money. He's got to pay his $9,000 mortgage. He's got a $100,000 allotment from his insurance company.
Oh, and shout out Dave, $5. It's funny that no one had money in North Carolina. Now they have money to help Cali. Oof.
Yo.
Oof.
Hey, nah.
That's actually a great point. I mean, bro, everybody knows LA is
a liberal city,
bro, but it's just like
liberal central.
We seen Kim Kardashian donate some money. Who else donated some money? Beyonce.
But because North Carolina but they knew North Carolina was gonna go red and hated it.
He makes a great point. Yo, that's egregious. So a red life isn't the same as a blue life?
I don't even respect Beyonce's $2 million that she put towards Cali no more. What was that same $2 million for
Florida, North Carolina?
Oh, that was the red states. F them.
Oh, so blue lives are worth more than red lives.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Oh, well, they made their choice.
Like, Dan Castro. What we got?
I'm so weak. Let's go ahead and get some of these out the way. Wait. Yeah. You know what? Just in case. Hold on, guys. Ain't gonna do me like that.
For interim housing, it's going to take 2 years to rebuild minimum. He's got 2 kids. It's going to be financially devastating for people. And I got to be honest, like, I'm very sad that Paris Hilton lost her house. That's terrible. I'm sad for me. That's terrible. They'll be just fine. I was just fine. I don't really think they deserve a huge amount of sympathy, but I do know for a fact that there are many people that are not wealthy who've lost everything in this fire. And I think that is really what we need to focus on and where we need to deliver help immediately.
Yeah, you know, my view on that, you're not wrong. All I would say is it doesn't matter how rich you are, when it comes to personal possessions involving beloved family members who may no longer be with you and stuff, there's no price you put on that. And it's the same for everybody. So I think it's that stuff is the irreplaceable.
I get it, but Piers,
no, I get your point. I
When
get your
someone's life is devastated,
I get your point.
you know what I mean? Like,
if you
I
have
lost
the means
family
to
heirlooms.
rebuild your
I'm
life,
sad about
I agree.
that.
If you have the means to build a place over your head again, I get it. I get it. Great panel. Thank you all very much. Mark, always a pleasure sparring with you. Thank you to the rest of the panel. Great to see you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Piers.
Thank you.
Well, the Comedian Podcast.
Right, let's get over to Dave's song. Deal. Yeah. All right, we're just making sure we, shout out Big Wave Dave for the musical interlude. And they're already giving me the heads up on the stream. So if anything happens, hey, we try. We try here. Say, keep me. Green. But shout out Big Wave Dave, man, for the video suggestion. And once again, shout out Big Wave Dave, man. Shout out Big Wave Dave. Make sure to double tap the screen. This is just a musical interlude. We'll be right back with more content for y'all right after this song. All right, I was able to make it through that. It was warning me a couple of times in the background.
And mismanagement of the state. He joins me now. Adam, great to talk to you. I've been watching your visceral rage pouring out in various ways over the last few days and cheering you on. What is your view as we sit here now? We're facing another barrage potential.
Hold on, let's get over to this one here. A little more entertaining.
Melania Trump has now joined us. Melania Trump has now joined us.
People are sure going to be paying attention to them right now.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Benny. Happy 7 days away from President Trump's inauguration. You might need a little pep in your step this morning. So a reminder that it is January 13th, 2025, and this is exactly 7 days away. Just the only difference will be Barron's a little bit taller. And Melania Trump might have a slightly different expression on her face given what we saw this past weekend. And we'll get to that in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some information for you. Posted just moments ago, there are moving trucks at this moment backing up into the White House. Oh, yes, baby. Oh, yeah. White House reporters are posting videos of Biden moving out. This is live right now. Massive trucks are parking at the White House and moving that man right into the nursing home facility that he belongs in. Oh, yeah. Moving trucks into the White House. Donald Trump is back, baby. Donald Trump is moving on up and in. This moment couldn't be crystallized better than a champagne cork pop from Melania.
No, for those y'all say Trump ain't gonna do nothing, I'll tell you what the first thing gonna do. He's gonna move his ass into the White House and he's gonna be your president. And Melania Trump is gonna be your first lady, which is honestly an upgrade. So shout out to us.
Trump, who said on Fox News this morning that
she's on both sides. We upgrade on the president's side and the first lady's side.
Very, very excited. She already has her plans in place. She knows the rooms. She knows what she's going to do. I've already packed. I've selected the furniture for the White House. And on January 20th, we have 5 hours to move them out and move us in. What a statement.
Scenes. What is it like when you're moving back in the White House? What's different this time?
The difference is I know where I will be going. I know the rooms where we will be living. I know the process. The first time was challenging. We didn't have much of the information. The information was upheld for us from previous administration. But this time I have everything. I have the plans. I could move in. I already packed. I already selected the furniture that needs to go in. So it's very different transition this time, second time around.
Will you decorate it exactly like it was before, or are you making changes?
A little bit of changes, not much.
This lady is ready, baby. I'm already packed and ready to move in. It's time to move them out and move us in. This is the quote that's going around and breaking social media. Melania Trump just told Fox and Friends that she's ready to move into the White House and move them out. Oh, man. I know where I'm going. The first time it was challenging. The information was upheld from us by the previous administration. This time I have everything. Now, this is an amazing quote. It was upheld from us from the previous administration. Of course, that would have been in part Joe Biden. What it really was Barack Obama. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Barack Obama, somebody who just recently had a post from President Trump put up on his social media. Donald Trump posting on Truth Social. Barack Obama. Now, everybody noted that Melania Trump was extremely icy in her demeanor toward Barack Obama in their little sit down this past week. Melania Trump unsmiling, didn't shake anybody's hand, sat icy and stern faced. I mean, it's funeral after all, right? I'm not saying Melania is mean or nasty or anything.
I mean, let's be real. She has every reason not to like, well, half the people in that room. They called her husband a dictator. They try to put this man in jail. She has every reason to sit there with the stank face the whole time, just like, yep, don't talk to me.
According to all available evidence, and we know people that work directly for her, she's a complete sweetheart. But you know, while Trump is magnanimous and is like the absolute king of magnanimity here, Melania Trump is different. Man, the women are different. They're just different. You can see the way that Kamala interacted. You can see the way that Melania interacted. Like, women feel things differently than men. And while men are pragmatic, like for Melania, you raided her son's bedroom. Barack Obama was part of a cabal of people who decided to raid the bedroom of her only son, Barron, with deadly force and with a kill order. Like, women won't forgive that. Women just won't be forgiving that ever in their lifetimes. And so I find it particularly interesting that Melania Trump is out on Fox News today, nuking Barack Obama. Meanwhile, Barack Obama and Donald Trump allegedly were nuking Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. Bro talk for you. This is what President Trump posted on social media.
Well, Mr. President,
For a second time. Barack, very nice to see you.
congratulations.
This is, by the way, an AI lip read. Okay, so this is AI reading their lips and then replacing their voices. So
How you doing?
A lot better, Dan.
Al, I bet knew you'd win.
Oh, really? Well, come on. Anyone could beat her.
Kidding
She's
me?
just...
I was just as appalled. You know what happened? He just didn't want to leave.
I know.
Is what happened. I did what I could to help her. She was horrendous.
I know. You know what I realized? Hillary still hates me. So much. I know. She'll never forget me. We should meet to discuss.
I think so too. We can definitely set something up. Let me know whatever works
Done?
best for you.
I was gonna fly back to Florida tomorrow for the Gulf.
Okay.
to invite some golfing.
They look really great.
Did you see that? She won't even look at me.
Really? I was told. Some of her people. Apparently, they said she fell off the wagon.
I think she actually may have. Sure. And also, she's not really built for this. That amount of pressure, if you're not built for it, we'll do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, so while that might be AI and there's no way to tell if it's 100% accurate, again, Donald Trump posted it. Donald Trump's spokesperson, Dan Scavino, posted it, Donald Trump's digital voice. And she hates me. She really hates me. She never got over it. This is exactly what Trump's saying here. It's like perfectly believable. This is exactly what Melania Trump looks like.
It was funny though. He was like, she was horrendous. Like, yeah, like where's candidate? Like she couldn't do nothing right. Like, damn, she could do nothing right, guys. Nothing. But then, like I said, Biden appointed Kamala. Biden appointed Kamala, and it kind of screwed the entire Democratic Party over. Obama ain't won her, Lord knows that. That one out, no problem. I love that. You gotta love when you're able to knock those out with no problems. I don't know why don't you ever do Big Wave Dave songs like that?
I'm weak. Big Wave Dave song you think 10 minutes.
Eventually, in the next 48 hours, it could make this exponentially worse, this crisis. What is your view of where we are with this in terms of the political dimension?
I should preface this by saying, Pierce, that I didn't pick the painting out behind me. I'm at a hotel in Burbank, California. So I
was a bit worried about your taste
for that art. My takes, I lived here my entire life. I live in Los Angeles my entire life. And I was always, Democrat, sort of left-leaning, progressive. I'm an atheist. I'm not a gun owner. And I was with most of the policy, legalized pot and, legalized non-consensual or consensual crimes, prostitution, stuff like that. I'm a guy from California and I was progressive. But I was sort of Bill Clinton, Democrat. And then they sort of kept going with sanctuary cities and no one's illegal and open the borders and all the DEI and the LGBT stuff. And that's when I thought, now we're getting into some territory that is going to be destructive. And I would sort of distill it to what we've done with the fires and everything else as sort of what we did with declaring we're a sanctuary city. It's great. We declare it. Everyone's a hero. Everyone pats themselves on the back. And then the first busload of migrants gets dropped off in front of your house and everyone runs in a circle and panics and yells, what are we doing?
Yeah. And we were just having a debate about...
Hey. I guess we got a bit of a breaking, man. I guess they're stealing money out of the funds to fix the housing. Nah, this is wild. This is wild, G. This is wild. Apparently, I guess they're Democrats caught grifting money from the California fire victim donation.
Are you serious?
Yep. I just seen it.
The corruption deepens.
Whoa! Oh. Hey. Whoa! Look at that. Whoa! I'll be right in your face. That's crazy.
Whoa! Hey.
I'm weak.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. I worked in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill and with political fundraisers for a very, very long time. So let me tell you something unequivocally. All political fundraising is a scam. There are people taking massive cuts of the dollars that you donate into the system. There are people, you think you're giving $1 to Donald Trump, and like 90 cents of it is going to some scumbag who runs the email list or whatever, right? They broker these little deals, and it's the greasiest, dirtiest world ever.
Gotcha.
However, most of it.
All right, man. Before we get too far into this, we're gonna go ahead and hear from Big Wave Dave. Yo, Dave.
Yo,
what's up?
After the whole Hawaii thing, do you really think that any of these organizations are giving money to the people? Get the fuck out of here, man.
Hell no.
Never trust the NGOs in a state of emergency.
They're all fucking full of shit.
It's like, yeah, and just like he was just about to say, it's like, bro, they try to fund different things and like very little actually gets passed down to the actual cause.
Well, let's take this down to the core. Look at Black Lives Matter.
Man, should look at a black church.
What?
But, I said, look at the black church.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter. Those fuckers bought fucking mansions.
Oh yeah, it took $80 million in donations and bought mansions, paid off baby daddies, all
funded
that
LGBTQ pro causes. And
trans organizations.
So, let's be honest with ourselves. Anything going on in California is always going to be fucking corrupt.
It's sad to say that, but it always does seem. It seems to be a reoccurring theme, doesn't it?
Well, look at fucking Newsom when we had the fucking COVID lockdowns, and this fucker's at a high end fucking restaurant, laughing at people.
It's kind of crazy how some of these like so-called leaders are always goofing off when things are going down. Like it don't make sense.
You didn't fucking know Newsom's running for fucking president next time, right?
I would love that. I would love that, to be honest.
I'm suspecting that's their man.
That'd be an easy sweep. Like, oh, thank you. Y'all that arrogant? After this, you think we're gonna forget this? Okay, go ahead, try it.
Oh, dude, you know people are going to forget it though.
Step it away. It'll be a weekly segment of the election, of the whole election time.
No, said I got you, but you know how many people are going to forget it or just be like, oh, hey, look, a pretty face.
Now that you said the whole pretty face part, the way they do spin that on social media, yeah, I can see it.
Bro, I'm not wrong.
You're not.
I'm telling you.
But damn, if I have to sit up here and be like, no, we're not going to let this go, I will, but you're right. There are going to be some people to be like, what are you talking about? That never happened. Or
yeah, they don't remember it. They have short fucking memories.
Who said, oh, the fire started because two trees fell and they crossed each other. I was like, what? Like, yeah, I heard that on the radio. I was like, oh, Lord.
Bro, people are fucking stupid. And we know this.
Been able to really pinpoint the exact reason the fire started, but that has to be the most half-head, bro. Bro, I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, what?
Yo, guys, I'm still gonna fucking I'm still gonna point out here how many people voted for Kamala.
At least more than 70 million US dollars.
Stupid fucking people.
That shit makes no
because
sense.
They're fucking sheeple and idiots. Honestly, like, yeah, I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong, you're not wrong. But if we could still maintain that, and if we could still maintain this momentum in 2020, we should be good. If they're choosing Gavin Newsom, I mean,
bro, I guarantee you, Gavin Newsom is going to be the next one up. Guarantee.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's even going to be announced probably by midterms, like 2026. They'll probably announce it as Gavin Newsom's their guy.
Hold on, who ever seen Gavin Newsom debate here? Because he's still got to make it past the primary.
Gavin Newsom debated fucking dumbass from Florida.
Well,
you remember that?
They could try to run it with AOC.
I've heard rumors.
Oh, fuck no, dude. AOC's not winning shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Man,
I still do think they're going to try for that female angle, so AOC will be probably a candidate.
All right. So let's say Newsom AOC.
AOC. That would be clutch.
Would be one other good one.
Like it would be really good. It'd be a good picture. I mean, it looked good. It looked really good on paper.
I mean, they got
and the dumbasses will fucking vote for it.
I mean, you got the good looking guy, a good looking female. Bro, the Rim are gonna call him the best looking duo in presidential history or something.
He actually represents the Democrats pretty well. I'll be honest.
I'm still fucking appalled at the amount of people that voted for fucking Kamala. Like, what? What the fuck?
Bro, she's just gonna fade to the background. We're not gonna hear much from Kamala after she's out of office in a week.
Like, trust me. And then
I hope not.
Like some people voted for Kamala on emotional reasons.
Yeah.
Like
some people voted for Kamala.
Look, everybody that voted for Kamala was like, I dislike Trump.
Mother. I was like, what? We need some mother.
Women's
energy.
rights. Women's
Yeah,
rights.
everybody that voted for Kamala was, I dislike Trump. That's who voted for her.
Wow, no, that's sick.
Man,
Like,
yeah,
honestly, like you guys have asked us in chat, like, what were her accomplishments, and nobody can say shit about it, right?
like, here's the thing: nobody want to say shit about her accomplishments because, like, even with
She
her
has
next
none.
accomplishment is well, let's see this AG. She became AG, but look what she did, though.
Bro, her accomplishments are her title.
Yeah, that's it.
Alone.
Alone.
If you analyze what she did when in position, bro, it's actually lowlights, not highlights.
Yeah, she had Willie's Willie in her her mouth for that.
Bro, it's like an NBA player who just pretty much made it to the NBA, but just had shitty numbers ever since.
Willie's Willie.
Mm-mm.
I'm not wrong. Just saying.
No, you're not wrong.
Knee pads Kamala. I mean, come on, man.
Man, hopefully we're gonna get knee pads AOC.
Yo.
Knows what she ain't.
Who was that? Who was that one dude she was trying to fucking hype up in Brooklyn? No. The black dude that was running for Congress. She was trying to hype him up and he fucking lost. You guys have not seen that video where she's like acting like a fucking idiot on stage?
I don't know what exactly you're talking about, but
Oh, shit, I'm gonna have to find that shit and send it to you. It's fucking hilarious.
Put it in like
Because
Discord.
he fucking lost hardcore, and it was fucking hilarious.
Ooh, yeah, I gotta see that. Put it in Discord.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll send it.
Cool.
But all right, though. Shoot, actually.
All right, get back to what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, but I say, yeah, let's go ahead and keep it going because I kind of do want to see the evidence on this. You know, let's see if our man Benny's reaching or he got some facts to this.
Shout out Dave, man.
Yo, Benny always reaching.
Nah, Benny do be reaching sometimes.
Oh, man, my bad. I didn't mean to meet him in the middle of that. What'd you say, Dave?
Oh, yeah, no. Benny always reaches, and I click on his fucking videos all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I watch it. I'm like, bro, that's reaching a little bit.
Yeah, overreach. She's like, whoa.
He does. I like the presentation of the information, but sometimes he does have that Wilt Chamberlain to him.
It's like,
yeah, dude. Look, I like Benny, but at the same time, like, I'm like, dude, just fucking stop. Stop making fucking clickbait. That's what he fucking does.
What it is.
Yeah, it really is political clickbait, and he's
he does it well.
Master.
Oh yeah, no, agreed, but it's still fucking clickbait. Like, bro, stop.
Do you see this man's thumbnails? No, it's intros, the thumbnail.
That's what I'm saying. The presentation is A1, but yeah, sometimes he does kind of like.
Yeah, when you get into it, it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
Right.
Now that I think about it, there's a way we can incorporate this type of beginning. I'm all for it.
No, man, we probably could do something like this, man. We need somebody. God damn it, this is probably easy to do. You think?
Yeah, you guys better never do clickbait. I will fucking destroy you.
Don't worry, we ain't gonna do no clickbait.
All right.
Not yet. Trust me. I'm done.
We got you, Dave. Shout out, Dave.
Whoa! Just chill, man. Chill. Let me chill.
Right in front of you.
Come on, let me chill.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. I worked in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill and with political fundraisers for a very, very long time. So let me tell you something unequivocally. All political fundraising is a scam. There are people taking massive cuts of the dollars that you donate into the system. There are people, you think you're giving $1 to Donald Trump, and like 90 cents of it is going to some scumbag who runs the email list or whatever, right? They broker these little deals, and it's the greasiest, dirtiest world ever.
I gave it to you.
However, most of it is legal. This is somehow allowed, and it shouldn't be allowed, actually. There should be caps on these things. There should be rules about this kind of stuff. I mean, the grotesque fraud I've seen in Washington on like unwitting Republican donors makes me very, very angry. However, that aside, some of it is actually criminal. There's a group called Act Blue. You've probably heard of them.
Yep.
Act Blue is the Democrat fundraising juggernaut that is behaving in a incredibly shady way and is actually being criminally investigated in multiple states for stuff like this. Okay, this is like a good example. Carrie Alberti is 79-year-old living in Richmond, Virginia suburbs. She's renting an apartment for less than $2,000 a month. This is clearly not a rich person. Yet she allegedly has 22,000 Democrat donations since 2019 for nearly $1 million. So in 500 days, she's donated $1 million, even though she lives in a rent-controlled apartment in Richmond, Virginia, in the suburbs. Yeah, I don't think so.
Money laundering? What the hell? So it's not really stealing campaign funds. They're money laundering through this, not stealing campaign funds, not stealing this victim donation. They're money laundering through victim donation.
Very roundabout way of going about it.
I mean, crazy. I mean, look what they did with Ukraine, though.
Shit.
This is fraud. Something that's happening here is fraud, right? This seems like identity theft, and because you don't check the actual, because you don't have any verification for the actual credit cards and no stop gaps, you're just able to steal someone's address, steal donor information, and then just donate to whoever you want an unlimited amount. Ghost donors are giving money to Act Blue, and they're using the identities of the elderly to do it. Can somebody explain how a 79-year-old who lives in a cheap apartment donated 22,000 times, almost $1 million to Democrats in less than 2 years? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It gets worse. Kamala Harris's failed campaign fund is still charging donors recurring fees. This happened after Kamala Harris's blowout loss. Kamala Harris stunningly ended her 2024
recurring fees. That's recurring fees. Is crazy.
What they gotta do? Like they really behind on that 20 mil, huh?
Cause think about it. The election's over, so y'all should have canceled all those subscriptions.
She lost. It's over.
So why are y'all still doing?
What campaign are they funding?
Yeah, we're recurring fees going.
Oh hell no! It's like when you take your account information down from Amazon, but they still hit you with that subscription fee.
Yeah, somebody hit them with the chargeback.
Oh god!
Presidential campaign leaving Democrats $20 million in debt. But her defeated campaign joint fundraising committee is still charging supporters recurring donations that they were set to stop, according to a new report from Politico. Many feel seeing the continued charge on their credit card adds salt to the wound of an already stinging loss. The Harris Victory Fund did not seek donors' explicit approval to keep withdrawing cash after the 2024 election. Rather, an email claims they would continue seeing a charge until you contact us to stop it. This is super shady and a grift, says one of Mitt Romney's staffers. So that's how low they've gone. But they can go lower, ladies and gentlemen. Can always go lower. Gavin Newsom is slammed for asking well-wishers to send LA fire victims donation via his super PAC, which, you guessed it, runs on Act Blue, and Act Blue gets a big, fat cut. California Governor Gavin Newsom has been slammed for directing well-wishers to make fire donations to his Democrat fundraising site. Newsom shared a link to California Fire Facts, a website created by his campaign committee, claiming it would combat misinformation. He's been steering donations meant for a California wildfire victim.
You know, if they could turn this around, whatever grimy ass way they can hide it with, they're gonna blame Newsom. You know that, right?
Low key.
So now, you know what? Dave saying that Newsom can run up for, like, you know, president in 2020 now makes a little bit more sense now that I'm reading this. So I'm like, yo, if they can fix this up in any way to make it look good, everything's gonna be on Newsom. This man's gonna be the hero, the pretty boy that saved LA.
Through the super PAC. So he is fundraising off of the death of 25 of his state's residents and the destruction of billions and billions and billions of dollars of the state's infrastructure. The fires are still burning Los Angeles.
Nah, no cap. I ain't gonna lie though.
Oh, yeah. What happened to your sheriff? There's powerful niggardry at work here.
And that's for the Democrats.
Get out there! That nigger!
Oh God, though.
Mr. Ground. Yet he is fundraising, and Act Blue is taking a big fat cut of it. Very interesting here. Gavin Newsom directing people to donate to links on Act Blue. He's using the devastating fires to raise money for Democrats. He's straight up evil and scum. There you go. Here's the actual link itself. And Act Blue, of course, gets a big fat cut of all of this. Elizabeth Warren got a massive community note here. To help support communities around LA being devastated by wildfires, can you split a donation between the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation and the United Way of Greater Los Angeles? Your donation will go directly to the organizers. That's not a link to the charity. It's a link to the Democrat fundraising platform. They take 4% of all transactions. See what I'm saying? Like, this is how this all works. Take this big, fat piece of every transaction. Gavin Newsom, who should be, I don't know, trying to save everyone's lives and neighborhoods, has found time to go do a podcast in the middle of a trailer called Pod Save America. Irrelevant morons, dumbasses that do this stupid podcast. If you want to help those impacted by California wildfires, please vote here. Act Blue. There you go. Support Crooked Ideas Disaster Relief Fund. Okay. I mean, it sounds malevolent, actually. So yeah, this said Act Blue charities, charitable donations made through this form, received and processed by Act Blue.
Have you ever heard Dylan say how I work in the morning?
And their terms of service say that they'll take a massive chunk.
No, that's a great question.
Instead of raising money for fire victims, he's laundering it through Act Blue. Everyone is outraged by this scammy effort directing Los Angeles fire relief donations through Democrat donation machine Act Blue, which takes 4 cents per transaction. The first lifted recipient was Julian Castro's Democrat activist group. Well. Would you look at that? Gavin Newsom is a scumbag. Now he's got a big fat community note on this.
Yeah.
Act Blue. There you go. Act Blue. So they're literally trying to make money off of the death of Democrats in California and their own mismanagement. That, of course, leaves no water in the fire hydrant. No water in your fire hydrants. No police. No cops. No firemen. No reservoir. No water in the reservoir. Your mayor is in Africa. Your governor is in a trailer doing a podcast. And the donation that's supposed to go to you is being funneled through Democrat money laundering operation Act Blue. Using Act Blue for donations for fire victims so they can use the list for future Dem campaign is diabolical. You can't hate these people enough. Shame on everybody who's involved in this podcast and this episode. Tricking people into donating to Act Blue from the middle of a tragedy beneath any respective human being. You guys, though, this is just right on brand. That's right. Boy, they got nuked here. They got ratioed here like crazy. Elizabeth Warren tried to fundraise off the wildfire and got wrecked by a community note. Turns out that donations go through Act Blue, skim fees, and grab your data. True. There's Gavin Newsom. I'm not interested in politicizing a natural disaster. You went on Pod Save America, and both of you direct people to donate via a Democrat fundraising platform. So yes, that is actually politicizing it, and you're also making a profit off of it. Using Act Blue to collect donor information in a crisis is like one of the most morally repulsive things I've ever seen. Never let this wretch pretend to be anything other than a classless, partisan, opportunist, parasite. Democrats are so defensive when people object to their Act Blue grift. They always got away with it before. The media is now disinterested, socialists censored. Now we can speak up. Yeah, they're losing their minds on this. And they're getting community noted.
Them community notes is tough, man. Tough crowd in that Twitter street. Wait, yo, Dave.
Yo, nigga.
Are you gonna give us a safe version of this one?
All right, that's my second. I got one more. Yo, that should be a fucking thing on the soundboard instead of brother.
I'm so weak. We still have the
really nigga.
Yo. See, I told you to be safe.
You
right?
can't beat that. No. Yeah, you're right. You can't beat that one.
Oh, come on. No, I think if they change the brother, and I'm not gonna say because I'm not gonna use my last one that you gave me.
Oh shit! Like everybody gets to it. I'm so weak.
Brother,
Oh no, I got you.
honestly, come on. At the end of the day, if it was the N-word, that'd be fucking great.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Oh shit! I didn't realize you muted me.
no.
I almost used my last one on that. All right, yo, let me use it now. My last one.
Wait. I don't think that's why.
Come on, the last end card. Let me use it.
No. The way we can censor it. Dave. This man, Dave. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think I want to use the last one just because it's fucking fun. Hey, you gave me 3. I used 2. I got 1 more.
In front of 122.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Well.
All right, you ready? Nigga,
Oh, I'm weak.
All right, that was my last end card. I use it the fuck up. All right.
Oh shit!
Oh shit. Brother,
There you go.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
And shout out, big Dave. Man, wait, that's Don's. I'm weak. Where? I don't even know. Or am I imagining?
They're asking people to donate via a Democrat Party fundraising apparatus. Oof. Obama staffer bro podcasters using the fires to fundraise for Act Blue is really the cherry on top of this whole saga of Democrat corruption and incompetence. Here we go. Here's the podcast bro. His name's John Favs.
Yeah.
F you. We don't bother people who donate through our relief funds. People on VSA email lists are there because they opt in or sign in. The only reason we organize relief funds is so people don't have to go through multiple sites to give. We can't vet all the local orgs ahead of time, he says. Well, now he's getting destroyed, like absolutely ratioed into the sun on this. When asked why they're routing donations through their C4 and Act Blue, which ensures they can collect all the emails and personal info, and Act Blue gets service fee, instead of providing a direct links to the orgs or providing relief, they just say it's to save the donors time. Our expectations were low, but holy F, ladies and gentlemen. The fraud of Act Blue laid bare by a great dude named Carl Higbee, who is a broadcaster at Newsmax. And he went through the FEC data for Act Blue, and he broke it all down. And I thought it's quite interesting. Here's the first few minutes. Seems shady as hell to me. Okay. It's one of the first things that should be investigated immediately by Republicans. Go.
The measure in politics, unfortunately, is how much money have you raised. Ironically, it's also the easiest thing to track. So we did. And Holy Rusted Metal Batman did a bunch of people find a bunch of stuff that appears to not add up on where and how that money is getting into Democrat coffers. Thanks to a group called Election Watch, who compiled millions, and when I say millions, it's millions of data points from the Federal Election Commission, the FEC website. We were able to find out that in the past few years, over $200 million of political donations have been funneled through the Democrats' fundraising platform called Act Blue from a fairly small circle of people who are almost exclusively over the age of 65, retired, very liberal, lower to middle income class. And from our research, it appears that these people, most of them don't even know these donations are being made in their name. It's not their money. They call these people Smurfs or money mules. People who have knowingly donated to Democrats via Act Blue once before, but then their identity is cloned or stolen and used to make multiple donations from an unknown source, but still in their name. Again, this is all publicly available information from state and federal websites that are very easy to verify should you want to look them up. Take this woman from Louisiana. She's a 74-year-old woman, worked a middle-income job most of her life, yet according to FEC data, and we're withholding their names, in the last 7 years has made $573,447 in donations to Democrats. And here's where it gets really weird. She did it in over 1,400 individual transactions, averaging $76 per donation. And it doesn't seem to come from this person's bank account. They would have seen that volume of money, and judging by our available research, it doesn't appear she has these type of assets. Nothing against her. On certain days, like October 16th in 2018, she or someone using her identity, according to the FEC, made 71 individual transactions totaling $3,145. Folks, that would mean she would have to have made more than 5 donations an hour if she were to sleep for 8 hours a night. But what's even crazier is when you zoom out and look at all the donations over 7 years for this woman, or at least under her name, it's just not natural human behavior to donate at this frequency. No, the normal people with this type of liquid cash make a few large donations and then they move on. But here's another one that's even weirder. And this person is from California. She's a 72-year-old woman who doesn't appear to be the, let's just say, typical person to donate this much money. According to the same FEC data, again, folks, publicly available, she made 52,501 individual donations totaling $884,152, almost $1 million.
And almost $1 million, $52,000 separate transactions, bro. What? For an average of $16 a transaction? Like, talk about money laundering. Like, this is like money laundering 101.
Like scamming.
The template for money laundering.
Like scamming or something. Like cracking cards or something.
Like, bro, what the fuck?
Over 700 days. Sure. This says that every day since 2017, and you can see the data right there, she has made at least one donation ranging from $10 to $100 a day. And you can see the significant jump in June on one day, making 1,080 donations totaling $20,879 in one day. That's 68 donations per hour, more than one per minute, if it's true. Folks, look, I have donated to state and federal campaigns in the past, and it takes a few minutes to add all your information and then put it into the system. This is logistically not possible to have that volume. Here's another one. A 75-year-old woman from Louisiana. She donated $127,375 in 5,670 individual transactions in 358 days. That's less than a year. Nobody does this.
Man,
that is insane.
I mean, yo, talk about being caught. You can't even deny. But we're going to go ahead and close out on this one, guys.
Love.
Go ahead and throw
that
that
jazz on, man.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, man. A lot of new people in here tonight, new faces. Make sure to check out that membership program if you haven't already, man. That's the best way to get outside of YouTube. We got a Discord full of members. We set up in there 24/7. We got movies playing, conversation, memes, anime talk, just about anything, guys. Make sure to take advantage of that if you're already a member. And if you're not, make sure to check out the membership program.
When that membership, man,
sensational.
Stream, man. That's it. We're gonna close out on that note, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Subscribe if you're not already. Get that post notification so you don't miss out. Live tomorrow night, man. See ya.
Back to this time.
the beginning. Signature, really. You did say this was gonna be. Yeah, boy,